Family cultivation. My mobile phone traveled through time. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451, The Fall of Teeling Pass. Buzz. The axe chopped down, with unprecedented power and unprecedented killing. Under this axe, a bloody light flashed. It chopped on the city wall, countless formations were broken, and countless monks were killed. Teeling Pass was miserable. Quick. Xuanji vomited blood. When the formation was broken, she was also seriously injured by the backlash. It was just too late to heal her wounds. She passed the message and hundreds of formation masters immediately took action to repair the formation. Under the previous attack, countless formations were broken. In addition to the formations that were damaged in the previous battle, less than 1/3 of the formations are now in operation. The situation is unprecedentedly critical. At this moment, a man in black appeared in the void. His footsteps flashed, and he stepped forward to grab the demon god axe and urged the axe. Suddenly, the bloody light on the axe was flashing, runes were rising and falling, and the light of destruction was condensing. It turned into a destructive axe light and chopped down. Boom. Teeling Pass was broken, and countless formations were damaged. Those array masters who went to repair the formation vomited blood one after another. Some array masters with weak cultivation were even turned into ashes by a single blow. Boom boom boom. The black-clothed monk urged the demon god axe to chop down again, one axe after another, with a fast and fierce speed. In terms of attack power, it was only inferior to the more than 130 great demons, but the attack frequency was faster. One axe after another, continuously, without too much interval. Not good. This is the demon race's god transformation. It's abominable. It actually bullies the weak with its bigness. Xuanji looked at this scene, and a trace of despair flashed in his eyes. Sensing the breath of the black-clothed monk, the breath was as strong as the deep sea, and the breath emitted was that of a powerful god transformation. The 6th grade spiritual treasure demon god axe, under the urging of a group of nascent soul monks, is indeed amazingly powerful, but it is difficult to sustain, and it needs to rest for a period of time before it can continue to attack. But in the hands of the great demon of the god transformation, it is amazingly powerful when it is urged. One axe after another, bombarded and killed continuously. Teeling Pass was crumbling. At this moment, Xuanji activated his secret technique and passed the message. The demon tribe's incarnation has taken action. Boom boom boom. The demon god axe continued to bombard. In the hands of the incarnation demon, the explosive power was unprecedentedly strong. After an hour of bombardment, the black-clothed monk activated his secret technique and bombarded, and the formation on Teeling Pass was completely annihilated. The 9-layer formation was in a state of stagnation, severely damaged and unable to operate. The axe hit the city gate again, and the city gate broke apart. As the city gate broke apart, a large number of demons swept in, pouring into it like a tide. "Run for your lives," Xuanji ordered, saying to the other monks. At the moment of giving the order, there was an unspeakable bitterness in his heart. In this battle, if only 1 in 10 monks could break through, it would be considered lucky. "Kinglian, let's cover the rear," Xuanji said. "As it should be." True Lord Kinglian nodded. At this moment, True Lord Kinglian and True Lord Xiao merged together, and the two yin and yang illusion bodies merged perfectly together, turning into a complete Xuanji. At this moment, she was in a complete state. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji's figure flashed, standing in front, staring at the man in black. Her expression was a little indifferent, and even more helpless. If possible, she also wanted to leave first, and run away if she could. As for fighting for the people, and fighting for humanity, for a sophisticated egoist like her, none of them believed. But at the moment of evacuation, she felt a little uneasy. The man in black, the demon god, was staring at her. She couldn't evacuate, couldn't run away. If she evacuated first, she would encounter a fatal blow from the demon god. Interesting. The demon clan's incarnation spoke up. "Why don't you run? Bloodbat demon lord, are you going to break the rules and bully me?" Xuanji said, threateningly. "Aren't you afraid of Dongji Xianzhen?" "Of course I am. Bloodbat Demon Lord said, but I just want to plunder and chew, and then go far away. How can I be afraid of Dongji Xianzhen's pursuit? Kill. As he spoke, a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and the destructive energy blasted down. Under this blow, it was like a mountain suppressing it. Jinzi felt this blow, and a trace of despair flashed in her eyes. The gap is too big. Her 6th level cultivation base burst out, but she couldn't withstand the blow of the incarnation. The gap between them is too big. In front of the incarnation, the cultivators of the late nascent soul are like ants, vulnerable to a single blow. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the Chaos Ancient Palace appeared and blocked above her head. The Bloodbat Demon Venerable took a picture and blasted it. The Ancient Palace just shook slightly, which dissipated most of the force. Jinzi turned into a stream of light and entered the Chaos Ancient Palace, urging the Ancient Palace to disappear. What a magic weapon. This is at least a 6th grade spiritual treasure. I don't know if it was temporarily lent to me by Danliang Xianzhen, or if it was lent to me by Liuyu Xianzhen, if it fell into my hands. The Bloodbat Demon Venerable flashed a trace of greed and turned into a stream of light to chase after it. The Chaos Ancient Palace was flying, constantly shuttling through the void. In this way, the two of them, one fleeing and one chasing, disappeared on the battlefield. When Teeling Pass was breached, many cultivators felt cold in their hearts, feeling panic and fear. Later, they began to break through. Swish. Lu Xuanji activated the token to contact the Lu family members. Just a moment later, Long Zuan, Ningzu, Yi Wanai and others gathered around him one after another. The 15 Jinden of the Lu family and more than 100 Purple Mansion cultivators gathered one after another. These were all agreed before the battle. This was originally the last plan, the worst plan, but he didn't expect it to be used. Lu Xuanji activated the Dangshan Pearl to collect them all, and then activated the Golden Light of the Earth to disappear. After the Golden Light of the Earth reached the 5th level, the speed was extremely fast, comparable to the transformation of the spirit. Swish. The speed was extremely fast, comparable to the transformation of the spirit escape technique, and in just a blink of an eye, it was 100,000 miles away. Many Yuanying monsters disappeared without a trace before they could chase them. After activating Golden Light of the Earth for 10 breaths, Lu Xuanji stopped and panted slightly. Although the Golden Light of the Earth was fast and could run away without parallel, it had poor endurance and could not hold on after 10 seconds. At this moment, Lu Xuanji activated the secret technique to hide his tracks and left in another direction. The target was the Lu family. The fall of the Chu state was a foregone conclusion. It was time to take the Lu family away, but where to flee was temporarily uncertain. Things are valuable when they leave their hometown, but people are worthless when they leave their hometown. Leaving Chu state and migrating to other areas, being suppressed by the locals is secondary. The key is the subsequent difficulties and the lack of resources, which are also serious troubles for the Lu family. Along the way, I saw the demons killing and slaughtering the human race. Countless human races were killed, and countless immortal cultivation families were destroyed. Looking at this scene, Lu Xuanji wanted to say something, but in the end he turned silent. After walking for a day, he finally returned to the Lu family. But in front of him, there were only devastation, broken walls, and countless scattered corpses. The many formations surrounding the Lu family were all destroyed. Chapter 452, Destroying the Enemy. The Lu family was still destroyed. Before leaving, Lu Xuanji made many plans and thought of many unexpected events. He originally thought it was safe. After all, the Lu family has been operating for hundreds of years, and many Yuanying masters have reinforced the formations. Many formations are connected one after another, and there are 5 Jinden monks sitting in charge, which is enough to resist everything. Even if it encounters 7 or 8 Yuanying monks attack, it can still hold on for a while. But the problems he can think of, the enemy can also think of. The problems he can't think of, those enemies can also think of. He hurried, but he was still a step late. When he returned to the Lu family, the Lu family's Lingshan had been breached, the mountain gate was broken, the defense formation was broken, and there were only broken corpses on the ground. It shows how cruel the battle was. Or in other words, the battle was not cruel at all, but a crushing kill. killing the monks of the Lu family. The Lu family, the whole family is destroyed. Calamity. Walking here, Lu Xuanji sighed, feeling inexplicably sad. At this moment, he suddenly felt a terrifying breath, locking him, as if to bring down a destructive blow. Lu Xuanji looked intently and saw a monk standing in front of him. The monk wore a white Taoist robe, had an elegant aura, a slender body, and held a blood-red longsword in his hand. He stood there with a trace of terrifying evil spirit. In the evil spirit, there was a terrifying demonic spirit suppressing it, like a mountain, like the sea. Just the pressure of the aura made Lu Xuanji feel cautious, fearful, and a little uneasy. At this moment, Lu Xuanji was about to activate Golden Light of the Earth to escape, but he felt a confinement formation appear, confining the void and blocking everything. Such a confinement formation naturally restrains Golden Light of the Earth. Under full activation, Lu Xuanji needed 10 breaths to break through the formation and escape. But would the enemy on the opposite side give him 10 breaths? Not at all, and it was impossible. He was caught in a jar, and the situation was extremely unfavorable to him. Dao, what's your name? Lu Xuanji asked. The man in white said with a smile, my name is Wu Liang, and I'm the 5th son of Kunpeng Demon Lord. I was ordered by my father to come and kill you. The gods of the human race and the gods of the demon race are standing in that secret realm to compete for opportunities, and they can't get away. I'm a 9th level nascent soul cultivator, but I came to kill a 4th level human cultivator. I don't follow martial ethics. It's just a race war, and I don't care about those morals. I can only bully the small and the weak with the big, and beat you to death. He spoke politely, like a gentleman, but there was a huge murderous aura in his words. The Lu family, did you wipe out the whole family? Lu Xuanji asked. Yes. The man in white said with a smile. You are very smart. The many formations set up by the Lu family are very solid. Even if I want to break the formation, it takes 3 days. After 3 days of continuous attack, the formation here was broken. I ate all the hundreds of thousands of cultivators in the Lu family. They taste very good. By the way, there is another old thing. As if thinking of something, the man in white smiled, took out a bag, and grabbed an old man. The old man was weak, and seemed to be dying. It was the elder. By the way, this old thing is said to have done you a favor. At the moment of the key refining realm, he did you a favor. The man in white said with a smile. Now I give you a choice. Give up your cultivation, kneel down, and I will let this old thing go. You are kidding me. If I give up my cultivation, will you really let the elder go? Lu Xuanji clenched his fist and gritted his teeth. No, of course not. The man in white laughed and said, you're right, I'm just teasing you. I just want to see you hate me so much, but you can't do anything to me. As he said that, he threw the elder into his mouth. Crunch. Crunch. It was eaten up quickly and digested quickly, just like eating snacks. Seeing this scene, Lu Xuanji's eyes turned red. The murderous aura was boiling. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators of the Lu family, including the elder, were eaten by the man in white like this. This was intolerable. Looking at Lu Xuanji's angry look, the man in white sneered, with indescribable joy and happiness. There are all kinds of cultivators in the world, but there are no stupid people. Don't expect to threaten Lu Xuanji by relying on an old thing. If you ask him to give up his martial arts, he will give up his martial arts obediently. If you ask him to commit suicide, he will commit suicide. This is impossible. But Lu Xuanji was unhappy and his anger increased. Seeing him being defeated, he was indescribably happy. Kill. Lu Xuanji was furious, and he activated the power of the 5 element, transforming into a 5-color divine sword, slashing down. One sword cuts off the past and the present. One sword opens the sun and the moon. But the long sword slashed down, fast and fierce. Because it lacked momentum, the power of this sword was much less. The man in white reached out to grab it, and the 5-color long sword was held in his hand. With a crack, with just a slight squeeze, the 5-color divine sword shattered. You are still too weak. After reaching the nascent soul stage, it is difficult or even impossible to fight across levels. Everything should end. The man in white said with contempt. But he was extremely cautious when he made his move. A long sword appeared in his palm. Under the urging of this long sword with a charming light, the sword light was flashing, swallowing, and spitting out 3 feet, stabbing and stabbing. This long sword, called Kunpeng sword, is a quasi 6th grade spiritual treasure with unparalleled power, he said contemptuously, but he was not careless when he attacked. He used magic weapons and many unique killing moves to attack and kill. If you can kill the enemy with the power of 10 levels, don't show off your power, but use the power of 3 levels to kill the enemy. Bang! In an instant, the two clashed with each other. After the sword light of destruction clashed with the 5-color long sword for a moment, the sword light of destruction overwhelmed and destroyed the 5-color long sword. Not only that, the sword energy of destruction swept over like a surging river. It instantly annihilated Lu Xuanji's body. Finally dead. The man in white breathed a sigh of relief. But at this moment, a figure appeared 1,000 meters away. It was Lu Xuanji. Hey, you are still alive. The one who killed you just now was a clone. The man in white asked. Yes, you are much more powerful than I thought. Lu Xuanji said, but I still want to kill you. Swish. At this moment, 3 clones appeared behind him, and the clones flashed and attacked the enemy. Swish. The sword light flashed, and 1 original body and 3 clones joined forces to attack the enemy. The original body controlled the power of the 5 element, evolving into a 5-colored divine sword to chop down. 1 clone controlled the yin and yang energy, evolving into a black and white divine sword to approach. 1 clone controlled the power of the primordial magnetism, evolving into a black and white divine sword to kill. 1 clone controlled the power of time and space, evolving into a time and space divine sword to kill. Chapter 453, Fighting at the 9th level of the nascent soul. Swish. The void was flashing, the sword light was changing, and it was coming from different directions. The speed was fast and fierce, like the surging waves, like the fluctuations of the tide, like the sweeping wind, like the collision of planets, like the rising and setting of the sun and the moon. 1 original body and 3 clones, each urging a sword technique, attacking like a god of war. Abandon all defenses and turn into an extreme attack. This is also necessary to improve combat effectiveness. The gap between the 4th level of the nascent soul and the 9th level of the nascent soul is so huge. If you want to make up for the lack of combat effectiveness, you must make a huge sacrifice. In order to improve combat effectiveness, you must abandon defense, abandon endurance, and turn into an extreme attack. The 4 figures were flashing, evolving into supreme formations from different angles, turning into sharp attacks, and attacking from different angles. The sea is boundless. The white-robed monks neared, urging the huge manner of the Kunpeng lineage, accompanied by the shaking of the long sword, as if endless waves were surging, and the innate magical power was activated. The sky was filled with endless seawater, sweeping down in waves. Boom boom boom. The 2 sides clashed with each other, and the magic power collided violently, and different energies annihilated and perished. The violent collision slammed into the ground, and the ground was shaking violently, like an earthquake. The mountains were collapsing, the plains were turning into gullies, the rivers were changing their courses, and the cultivated land on the ground became bumpy, as if countless missiles were bombarding the ground. Endless spells bombarded together. At this moment, the so-called skills were no longer important. It all depended on who had more powerful magic power, who had stronger explosive power, and whose spells were more fierce and brutal. After 3 moves of fighting, a clone was killed on the spot after a flash of a knife. After another 5 moves, another clone was killed. After another 3 moves, another clone was killed. Die. At this moment, the white-robed monk slashed at Lu Xuanji's body with his long sword. The clone was killed, and the main body was also affected. Lu Xuanji coughed, and spat out a mouthful of blood. A trace of determination and understanding flashed in his eyes. The gap was quite large. With his 4th level cultivation, he could defeat the 7th level Yuan Ying, and fight the 8th level Yuan Ying on equal terms, but he was defeated by the 9th level Yuan Ying. Moreover, this white-clothed monk was not an ordinary 9th level Yuan Ying. His combat power was also top-notch among the 9th level Yuan Ying. In the battle, the killing moves such as the Great 5-element Yin Yang Yuan Magnetic Starlight Universe Extinction Divine Sword and the 9 changes of Fish and Dragon were all used, but they could not do anything to him. Instead, he was at a disadvantage everywhere. At this point, he could only think of this. Lu Xuanji drew out the pure yang broken sword, turned into a stream of light, and killed. Bang! The man in white urged the long sword to kill. The swords collided with each other, but there was a crisp sound. The sword in the palm of the man in white broke, and split into two. What kind of sword is this? The man in white was horrified. The sword in his hand was a quasi 6th grade spiritual treasure, so strong that it could collide with a 6th grade spiritual treasure for more than a dozen times. But the broken sword cut off the Kunpeng sword, so why was it so sharp? The sword that kills. Lu Xuanji shouted, urging the pure yang broken sword. The pure yang sword energy flashed like rain, and the sword energy was like silk, stabbing. The man in white flashed and dodged quickly. Lu Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he chased and killed continuously. The broken sword kept stabbing, fast and fierce. The man in white was a little embarrassed, urging his magical power to turn into a shield to resist, turn into sword energy to stab, and turn into flames to sweep. Even if he lost his weapon, his combat power was still extremely strong. However, when the pure yang broken sword chopped down, it was like paper, and was destroyed like a dead tree and rotten wood. The mana shield was pierced by a sword. The broken sword rolled up, and countless sword energy dissipated. The broken sword rolled up, and the endless flames dissipated. The broken sword of pure yang stabbed several times in succession, leaving several bloody wounds on the man in white. The bloody wounds felt hot, as if they were burning. The man in white used various magic attacks, and his killing moves were fierce, but they were all broken by the broken sword. Is your broken sword a 7th grade magic weapon? The man in white asked sternly. Guess. Lu Xuanji sneered, without responding, but urged the broken sword of pure yang to chase and kill fiercely, and would not stop until he killed the enemy. Relying on weapons to win is somewhat unethical. But the man in white relied on the cultivation of the 9th level of the nascent soul to bully the weak, so how could he pay attention to martial ethics? In this case, everyone does not need to pay attention to martial ethics, and use all means to kill the enemy. The process is no longer important. What is important is how to kill the enemy. The dead enemy is the best enemy, and martial ethics are not important. Boom boom boom. At this moment, Lu Xuanji urged the broken sword of pure yang to chase and kill continuously. The man in white flashed, relying on his speed, to evade the slash of the pure yang broken sword. He gave up resistance, and focused on fighting. The attack power of such a broken sword was strong, but the mana consumption was also huge. Once Lu Xuanji's mana was exhausted, it would be the moment of his death. Buzz buzz buzz. Using the pure yang broken sword, Lu Xuanji continued to attack, and gained the upper hand, but his mana was also consumed drastically. Even with the swallowing heaven cauldron to replenish mana, it would not last long. A quick battle must be decided. Long Xuan, Ningzhu, Wanai, take action. At this moment, Lu Xuanji reminded. At this moment, Long Xuan, Ningzhu, Yuanai and others, as well as more than a dozen Jiandan cultivators and hundreds of Zifu cultivators joined forces to activate the Dangshan Pearl to attack the white-clothed cultivator. The speed was fast and sudden. Once, Lu Xuanji wanted to summon Long Xuan, Ningzhu and others to join forces to besiege the white-clothed cultivator, but he gave up soon. A group of wolves besieged a tiger, and the wolves might be killed by the tiger. They had been lying dormant, waiting for the opportunity. Until this moment, the Dangshan Pearl flew out, and turned into a stream of light, smashing towards the man in white. The man in white was caught off guard, and was hit on the back by the pearl, vomiting blood on the spot. Swish. Lu Xuanji urged the pure yang broken sword, activated its power with pure yang true blood, and stabbed the man in white. Buzz. When he was about to stab the man in white, a golden battle armor appeared on his body to block it. But in front of the pure yang broken sword, it was pierced on the spot. The pure yang sword energy burst out, sweeping everything and destroying everything. The man in white was torn into 5 or 6 pieces on the spot, and shattered into several pieces. I hate it so much. At this moment, a Yuan Ying flew out, turned into a stream of light, and was about to escape. Bang. Then, it hit the imprisonment formation. Originally, such an imprisonment formation was to prevent Lu Xuanji from escaping, but at this moment, it restricted his escape. This is a self-destructive move. Swish. At this moment, the picture of a solitary boat and a straw hat flashed and swept down, suppressing his nascent soul. He kept breaking through, but it was difficult to get rid of it. Chapter 454, Destroying the Infinite True Lord. Xuan Mountain, the territory of Kunpeng clan. In the territory, there is a huge mountain, about 100 feet high, with spiritual medicine planted around the mountain. Around the mountain, there is a group of little demons walking, planting spiritual medicine, taking care of spiritual fields, etc. At this moment, the mountain was shaking violently, and a murderosaur rose to the sky. Bang! The door of the cave was blasted open, and the man in white walked out. But at this moment, he had a murderosaur on his face, and he wanted to eat someone. You are too much. If it weren't for the sharp weapon, I would have crushed you to death long ago, Wuliang's engine said, with a murderosaur on his face. The last moment, when the memory stayed, was a picture scroll suppressing it, so the clone was suppressed. You are too much. Wuliang's engine's eyes flashed with anger. He is the pride of the demon clan. He has entered the 9th level of Yuanying at the age of only 1500. His cultivation is extremely powerful. He has begun to comprehend the mystery of the transformation of the spirit, and he is almost entering the half-step transformation of the spirit. Not long ago, the Kunpeng Demon Lord sent a message, asking him to go and kill Lu Xuanji. After he got the message, he just sent Peng's clone to intercept and kill. It was originally foolproof, but Lu Xuanji did not follow martial ethics and directly attacked him with a high-level spiritual treasure. He was defeated after all. Peng's clone was suppressed and sealed, and it was about to be refined and killed. I'm going to kill him. Wuliang's engine flashed with anger, and under the call, he led 10 Yuanying great demons to take action, and go to rescue Peng's clone. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the lonely boat raincoat picture trembled violently, and the Kunpeng Yuanying inside was struggling. The huge force kept impacting and tearing. It seemed that soon, it would break the seal and escape. At this moment, Lu Xuanji urged the spell to suppress it, and strengthen the seal above. The seal was strengthened. The struggle inside was much weaker. But all this was just a performance. The Kunpeng Yuanying was accumulating strength, and waiting to break the seal. At this time, Long Xuan stepped forward and said, in the Kunpeng lineage, there is an extremely powerful person named Wuliang Zhenjin. He is one of the top powerful people in the demon clan, and has a high probability of entering the state of transformation. I didn't expect that we actually sealed Wuliang Zhenjin. Thinking back to the scene just now, it felt incredible. How powerful is a strong person at the 9th level of the nascent soul? Even if he can't beat him, he can escape calmly. But in order to capture Lu Xuanji, Wuliang's engine set up a formation to seal the void and imprison the surroundings, cutting off their escape route, but also cutting off his own escape route. Ningzhu said, we are actually going to kill a nascent soul 9. If we refine it into nascent soul pill, our cultivation can be greatly improved. Lu Xuanji said, legend has it that the Kunpeng lineage has a supreme magical power called Kunpeng's 2 clone. When one cultivates to the extreme, it can evolve into the original Kun and the clone of Peng. They are all clones in the original body. The nascent soul suppressed in front of us is just the clone of Peng of Wuliang's engine. That's not bad. Long Xuan said. Lu Xuanji said, we should kill it when we take action. Okay. Everyone nodded. Putting the picture of a solitary boat and a straw hat in the center, Lu Xuanji urged the pure yang true fire and began to burn his nascent soul. At this moment, Wuliang's engine's nascent soul flashed with golden light and appeared outside the nascent soul to resist the refining of the pure yang true fire. Xuanji, you are dreaming. If you want to refine my original body, the clone of Wuliang's engine said with a hint of disdain, the 2 clones of Kunpeng are the top secret technique of the Kunpeng lineage. There are less than 10 cultivators who have cultivated this secret technique. The original body and the clone are interdependent. As long as the original body, the clone will not die. As long as the clone is not dead, the original body will be immortal. I can use the secret technique to continuously draw energy from the original body. Even if you refine it for 100 years, you will not be able to refine my nascent soul. Speaking of the ability to save lives, the strong men of our monster race are weird and changeable. It is easy for many human strongmen to defeat our monster race, but it is difficult or even impossible to kill them. Because our monster race is too difficult to kill, after defeating some of our powerful monsters, they can only seal them and use time to kill them. Xuanji, it will take at least 1,000 years to kill me with the help of the pure yang true fire. Do you have this time? Lu Xuanji's expression did not change. He continued to urge the pure yang true fire to refine, but the effect was very poor. The stronger the person, the harder it is to kill him. Because it is difficult to kill him, he chose to seal him. At the 9th level of the nascent soul, the nascent soul is extremely strong. With his current cultivation, it will take at least 1,000 years to refine it. But will the enemy give him so much time? Not at all. At this moment, the original body of Wu Liang's engine is rushing here. There are only 2 days at most. Husband, why not throw it away? Yuan Yi said. If I don't kill this man, how can I be worthy of the Lu family? Lu Xuanji gritted his teeth and said, with a sense of madness in his expression. Can the broken sword of pure yang kill Wu Liang's engine? The calculation of the divine mind came to the conclusion that the broken sword of pure yang could not kill Wu Liang's engine. The broken sword of pure yang was already seriously damaged, and many formations and runes inside were damaged, and its power dropped a lot. In addition, he was only at the 4th level of the nascent soul, with limited cultivation and insufficient mana, which was not enough to exert the power of the broken sword of pure yang. Why not? At this moment, Lu Xuanji suddenly thought of something. After a short rest, Lu Xuanji stood in place, constantly gathering strength. At this moment, the power of creation was surging, like the ripples of the tide. At the same time, the red dust divine will was activated, and a stream of red dust changed. The 6 desires were confused, the 7 emotions were crisscrossed, and the red dust rolled, turning into an endless torrent. Swish. At this moment, Lu Xuanji activated the power of creation, and the red dust divine will was added to the power, turning into 7 colors. The 7 color flames burned away, burning towards the nascent soul of Wu Liang's engine. It's useless, said Wu Liang's engine. But the next moment, the 7 color mana bombarded the nascent soul, and the light surrounding the nascent soul dissipated, and the nascent soul was eroded, making a hissing sound. It was like hot water falling into snowflakes. The snowflakes were melting quickly. No, this is the will of God. How can you understand the will of God? Wu Liang's engine said in horror. It is difficult to kill a nascent soul cultivator, and it takes a little time to wear it down, but this is only for nascent soul cultivators. It is easy for a divine transformation cultivator to kill a nascent soul, and it takes a very short time, because the divine will naturally restrains the nascent soul, and can accelerate the dissolution of the nascent soul. He struggled and shouted, but it was useless. The nascent soul was dissolving, and it only took 4 breaths for 1/10 of it to dissipate. Hu. Lu Xuanji panted slightly, and the consumption of urging red dust divine will was also huge. After resting for a while, he continued to urge the divine will to wipe out his nascent soul. Wu Liang's engine's nascent soul was recovering, but it was not wearing away as fast. About 3 hours later, Wu Liang's engine's clone nascent soul was completely worn out and dissipated. Chapter 455, Hell on Earth. No. In the void, the escape light was flashing, but at this moment, Wu Liang's engine flashed a trace of anger, and a trace of unwillingness. It was recorded that not long ago, he felt that his clone was wiped out. Sensing the disappearance of the clone, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. What a trick, you actually wiped out my clone. I underestimated you. Wu Liang's engine gritted his teeth and said, with a trace of anger and a monstrous murderous intent in his eyes. According to calculations, it would take a long time to refine his clone, enough to support the rescue of the Tao Master. But obviously, the Xuanji's engine used special means to completely wipe out his clone, and the nascent soul dissipated. After losing Peng's clone, his vitality was greatly damaged. I don't know how much time it will take to restore Peng's clone. Kill. As if extremely angry, Wu Liang's engine activated his magical powers, and immediately turned into a huge Kunpeng. His huge body of several hundred feet flashed in the void. He opened his mouth, and sucked the human village on the ground into his mouth, and then went down the esophagus into the stomach, where the mucus inside corroded and digested the food. In just a few breaths, there were about a few hundred humans in the stomach. All of them were digested. He opened his wings, and arrived at a large human city. He opened his mouth, and swallowed up 200,000 humans. He activated his lifelong magical powers, and continued to digest them. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Blame Xuanji's engine. If you want to blame someone, Wu Liang's engine said coldly. With his wings flapping, he looked down from above and looked at the humans below, as if he was looking at a group of ants. Humans have to hunt monsters, obtain the monster's fur to make talismans, use the monster's flesh and blood to cook delicacies, forge some magic weapons with the monster's bones, and forge some elixirs with the monster's blood. For humans, hunting monsters is a matter of course. If we don't kill monsters, how can the human race get resources for cultivation? We can't kill humans ourselves. On the one hand, it's not good for face, and on the other hand, the bosses above don't want to. But hunting monsters does not require moral burden. Similarly, monsters also hunt humans. Low-level monsters eat humans to nourish their spirituality, awaken their spiritual wisdom faster, and transform into human form. Similarly, every human is a tonic. If they often eat humans, the cultivation speed of the monster race will be much faster. In the past, because of fear of the human race's god transforming heavenly venerable, Yuanying's engine, and Wu Liang's engine, they did not dare to wantonly slaughter villages and cities, and did not dare to devour humans in large numbers. Because things got out of hand, it was easy to attract the attention of the human race's engine, and even the god transforming heavenly venerable would take action. But as Danji Xianzhen fell into the secret realm, the human race's god transforming and the demon race's god transforming battles, Milan Pass fell, Teeling Pass fell, and the demon race's large army and a large number of demon race strongmen killed into the hinterland of the Chu state. The order of the pass collapsed completely. Wu Liang's engine evolved into Kunpeng's original body, and began to kill and devour humans in large numbers. As long as I eat 20 billion humans, I can make up for the loss caused by the fall of Peng's clone, and even reforge Peng's clone. If I can eat 200 billion humans, I can even break the shackles and directly enter the realm of transformation, and become a powerful god. Wu Liang's engine's eyes were bloodshot, feeling the taste of the human race, feeling the improved blood and ki, and the bottleneck that originally restricted him was opening up little by little. Devouring a large number of human races is not only relying on a large amount of blood food to improve the spirit and improve the cultivation. After killing these human races, the luck of these human races is also absorbed by him, and his luck is improving. Kill. Wu Liang's engine turned into a stream of light and rushed to another human city. But at this moment, the light above the city flashed, the formation was activated, and fish scales rose up one after another, overlapping each other, layer by layer, evolving into a supreme defense. Roar. Wu Liang's engine activated his magic, and bombarded the city continuously. The formation on the city was crumbling, but it still held on. Roar. Wu Liang's engine activated his innate magical power, and the light of destruction bombarded continuously, but the formation in the city was still strong. He bombarded it more than 10 times in a row, but it still didn't break. Trouble, some trouble. Wu Liang's engine's huge body was suspended in the void, calculating the next battle. The result was that it would take 2 hours to break through this city. Instead of wasting 2 hours here, it would be better to go to other places, to those small towns to devour humans, which would be more efficient and faster. Swish. After weighing the pros and cons, Wu Liang's engine gave up attacking here. The huge wings flashed, and he went to the distance to find a new target. Not only here, but also in other places. The cultivators of the demon race were killing everyone. The golden elixir demon and the Yuanying demon, like a void battleship, flew in the sky, constantly preying on human towns on the ground, attacking some villages, and some small towns. Wherever they went, they swept everything and destroyed everything. Behind them, there were key training monsters, foundation building monsters, purple mansion monsters, etc., advancing quickly on the ground, like a tide, flooding the land of Chu, and killing the human race. Along the way, they ate leftovers, and attacked the fish that slipped through the net. Among humans, those foundation building monks, purple mansion monks, and golden elixir monks also began to attack the monster team in different areas. The two sides fought together. War, a bloody battle on the territory of Chu. The fierce fighting between each other, a racial war. Wars at other levels will be in captivity and there will be slaves. The losers may become slaves, or even slaves. But in a racial war, surrender will not be accepted, and there will be no slaves. Some will just kill all the enemies and clean up everything. Those golden elixir monsters and Yuanying monsters attacked along the way, like iron rakes constantly brushing the human area and destroying everything. When encountering some large cities and large fortresses, they skipped them directly. It was not that they were difficult to break through, but it would take some time to break through these fortresses, which was not worth the loss. So, it was left to the demon army in the rear. The strong men of the demon clan quickly attacked in the front, swept across the state of Chu, and eliminated the living forces of the state of Chu. Eliminate the war potential of the human race. The only lucky thing was that the area of the state of Chu was too large, equivalent to 240 billion square kilometers, equivalent to the surface area of 470 Earths. Even if it was Yuanying's engine, it would take 3 months to walk from the east to the west of the state of Chu. The territory of the state of Chu was too large, and it was sparsely populated, which limited the attack speed of the demon clan. But with the attack of the demon clan, the human race in the state of Chu fell into a catastrophe. Whoosh! With the flashing of colorful flames, the Yuanying of Kunpeng's engine was completely refined into gray. Although it was just an avatar, after paying a certain price, it can be resurrected and returned. As the saying goes, the main body is immortal and the avatar is immortal. But Lu Xuanji still laughed happily. To repair Peng's avatar, Wu Liang's engine would have to spend a lot of resources, and it would take 300 years to restore it. The cost was not small. The clansmen of the Lu family, the cultivators of the Lu family, I have avenged you. Now I can only kill one of his avatars, but when I become powerful, I will definitely destroy Kunpeng's lineage in the 100,000 mountains. Chapter 456, The Lu family is destroyed again. Looking at the devastation, the broken mountains, and the corpses everywhere, Lu Xuanji was sad and began to collect the corpses here, urging the fire to refine them and burn them into ashes. The Lu family was wiped out again. Although Lu Xuanji became more and more arrogant after becoming the ancestor, he gradually became alienated from the lower level cultivators. He still recognized some of the Jiandan cultivators, but most of the Zifu cultivators could no longer recognize them. Because he didn't recognize them, naturally there was no deep emotion. But after all, he was a member of the Lu family. But now the Lu family has been wiped out again. He was also unlucky. In the past, the Zifu ancestor passed away, and the Yan'ang ancestor attacked and killed. The Lu family's mountain gate was forced to close, and most of the foundation building cultivators were killed, and they suffered a disaster of being wiped out. Now, the Chu state is in turmoil, the demons are attacking, and the Lu family has been wiped out by the Wu Liang's engine again. The decline of the Lu family seems to be very important, but in the Chu state, it is nothing. At this moment, open the Beidou map. What you see on the map is war and endless killing. Countless villages and towns in Chu state have been massacred, suffered a catastrophe, and become blood food for the monsters. Only a small number of cities with solid formations have not been breached for the time being. Of course, it is only temporarily. Some bones are too hard to bite directly, so they give up temporarily. But when there is time, the enemy will still break through these isolated islands. In the world, there are no cities that cannot be breached, only prices that are unwilling to pay. As long as a period of time passes, these isolated islands will also be breached. Just paying attention for a moment, Lu Xuanji did not close the Beidou map because he could not bear to watch. Husband, the Lu family is destroyed. But don't worry. Before that, the elder felt that the situation was not right and dispersed some of the clansmen to the outside world. We can make a comeback. Faina is still alive and has arrived in New State. Xiana is also alive, but in the East China Sea. Although the Lu family is destroyed, the elite of the Lu family are still there. As long as a few hundred years pass, it will be able to recover to its peak again. Yuan Yi stepped forward to persuade. Long Zuan said, the Chu state is in chaos and the situation is unprecedentedly critical. We should evacuate. Leave the Chu state. We are Yuanying cultivation. Whether it is to Wu state, Yu state, or the East China Sea, we are guests of honor and can dominate one side. Ningzhu also said, Master, the Chu state is not safe now. You should make a decision early, whether it is to run away or to fight. Make a decision quickly. Other cultivators also stepped forward to persuade. Their words were different, but the essence was similar. That is, evacuate quickly and run away quickly. The Chu state is not safe. Run away quickly. As long as the Green Mountains remain, there will be no shortage of firewood. In this world, casual cultivators are also divided into levels. For example, the low-level key training casual cultivators live at the bottom and are the most miserable, with no guarantee of their future. But after a casual cultivator reaches the foundation building stage, he or she has better choices, whether joining a sect, becoming a guest of a family, or starting a family. As for the Purple Mansion realm and the Golden Core realm, even casual cultivators will do very well. The low-level casual cultivators are miserable, but the high-level casual cultivators are not miserable at all. The Lu family has perished, but now the owner of the Lu family is still alive, and the elite are still alive. There are 5 or 6 Yuanying cultivators, 12 Golden Core cultivators, hundreds of Purple Mansion cultivators, and nearly 1,000 foundation building cultivators who have gathered together. It can be said that the army is strong and the horses are strong. Even if you go abroad or to other regions, you can live a good life. Now you need to act quickly, leave the state of Chu, and avoid the cesspool of the state of Chu. Run away. Lu Xuanji flashed a trace of hesitation. When the state of Chu was caught in a war, many low-level people and low-level cultivators could not run away at all. Not to mention the various dangers encountered along the way, the siege by the demons, etc. The key is the long distance, which makes many people unable to run away. In times of war, the lower class civilians want to run away but cannot. But for Yuanying cultivators, running away is not difficult. As long as they are not trapped in a siege, they can easily run away. But Chu, I won't leave. Lu Xuanji smiled and said, if you want to leave, then go. I won't leave. Not long ago, the Yuanying 9th level of the demon couldn't kill me. What should I be afraid of? I won't leave. I will stay in Chu. Besides, Chu is not finished yet. Dongji Xianzhen and several other gods are still alive. There is still hope for Chu. Long Zuan was a little helpless, but she could only nod and say, it's not safe here. We should leave quickly. Giving up leaving Chu, Lu Xuanji flashed and began to rescue ordinary people. With a flash, he urged the cave beads to collect civilians, one village after another, all of which were collected in the cave beads. One town after another, they kept collecting. These were all villages and towns near the Lu family, most of which had the blood of the Lu family. However, they were forced to stop when they collected only 10 million. Because the space of the cave Heaven Pearl Thunder was limited, it could only accommodate 10 million people. Seeing that a large number of human races were outside, but could not be collected, and would become the blood food of the demon race, Lu Xuanji felt helpless. His figure flashed, and Lu Xuanji kept moving forward. Along the way, he felt countless killings and bloody battles. The Chu state was falling, and a large number of demon races were killing on the land of the human race. Countless cities fell, and countless villages and towns disappeared. Seeing the demon race killing, Lu Xuanji wanted to take action several times, but he had to endure it. Killing some small demons is not very useful, but will bring some big troubles. Every generation has its own responsibilities. As for our responsibility, it is to hunt down the Yuanying demon, Lu Xuanji said, with a trace of murderous intent in his eyes. He activated the secret technique to hide in the invisible, turned into an assassin, and entered a long wait. Whoosh. In the void, a big monster was flashing, quickly hunting and killing humans. His expression was somewhat ferocious, and he kept devouring humans, and his cultivation was greatly improved. The human race was the best elixir, and his cultivation was steadily increasing by constantly devouring humans, and he would soon enter the 4th level of the nascent soul. In the past, he would not dare to do this, but now he has no such scruples. But at this moment, a knife flashed and crossed the void. The big monster struggled, and was about to fight back. The speed of the knife flight was too fast, and it annihilated everything in just a moment, destroying all laws. The body of the big monster was cut in two, and the nascent soul was about to escape. But a scroll came, and sealed it in it. The first kill was completed. Swish. At this moment, Lu Xuanji urged the knife light to kill a group of giant monsters. With the flash of the knife light, about a dozen giant monsters were destroyed. With the cultivation of the nascent soul, killing a group of giant monsters was a bit unethical, but he could not care about anything else. With a flash of footsteps, Xuanji disappeared. Chapter 457, the 5th level of Yuanying, the fall of Chu. In one breath, he killed a nascent soul demon, and in one breath, he killed more than a dozen golden core demon beasts. Xuanji activated his secret technique and disappeared. Just 3 breaths later, a nascent soul demon beast appeared in the flashing void. Then, another nascent soul demon beast appeared. In less than 5 breaths, 10 nascent soul demon beasts appeared. There were still some nascent soul demon beasts that had not descended here, but the divine consciousness was locked here, determining the coordinates, ready to descend at any time. However, when the divine consciousness scanned the future, there was no trace, as if it had completely disappeared. It was also thanks to Xuanji's fast speed. If he was a beat slower, he would be blocked by the demon clan strongmen, and then more than a dozen nascent soul strongmen would besiege him. Even if he was good at fighting, he would be blasted into pieces. Swish. In the flash of his figure, Xuanji disappeared. Just a few rises and falls, and he was 100,000 miles away. He opened the map of the 100 pictures, and looked at the picture on it, but frowned slightly. At this moment, more than a dozen nascent soul cultivators appeared there, and they were almost blocked and trapped in the siege. Once he was besieged, he might also die. It's troublesome. The Yuanying great monsters seem to be isolated from each other and scattered around, but in fact they are connected to each other. When one of them is in trouble, other cultivators come to rescue. It's also thanks to my 2 breaths that I chose to evacuate after killing the enemy. If I delayed for 5 breaths, I would be besieged. Those big monsters are also a bunch of old cunning guys. Xuanji frowned slightly. After hesitating for a moment, his figure flashed and disappeared. The hunting continued. If one more demon Yuanying is hunted here, the situation in the former Chu state will improve. Don't look at the current situation. Yuanying cultivators are everywhere, giving the world a feeling that Yuanying cultivators are worthless. In fact, it's not the case at all. Yuanying cultivators are also giants, big men, and people in power among the demons. Every time a Yuanying dies, the demons suffer huge losses. In this way, Xuanji began to act and hunt Yuanying monsters. Relying on Beidou maps, he accurately locates the location of the Yuanying great monster and acts quickly to kill the Yuanying cultivator. Like a cheetah, it hunted the enemy quickly with its speed and then disappeared. It was fast and ruthless. In just 10 years, it hunted 30 Yuanying monsters. As a large number of Yuanying monsters were hunted, the monster clan became more vigilant. The Yuanying monsters no longer acted alone, but gathered together in groups of 3 or 5, very close to each other. The difficulty of hunting was increasing. Boom boom boom. In the void, a war broke out. 8 demonic auras flashed, and they joined forces to kill. The 5-color light flashed and rushed over to dissolve the offensive. The 2 sides were fighting and colliding. Waves of destruction followed one after another, and at this moment, a figure flashed and fled. The golden light flashed under his feet, and as the golden light changed, the speed was extremely fast. Swish. Just a few rises and falls, and he disappeared thousands of miles away. Don't run. Chase. Kill. The 8 Yuanying monsters screamed and urged the secret technique to chase and kill. But soon, the pursuit turned into pursuit. The golden light was too fast, and they would only get farts if they chased it from behind. Notify the front to capture Xuanji's engine. A Yuanying great demon gnashed his teeth. Swish. At this moment, the golden light converged, and Xuanji appeared. Cough cough cough. Xuanji coughed blood from the corner of his mouth, and his breath was weak. The breath of his whole body was constantly falling. He took out a pill and swallowed it, and then he operated the creation art, pure yang sutra, yin and yang transformation, etc., constantly healing his injuries. Not long ago, he attacked a Yuanying great demon, but was calculated by the demon clan, and was besieged by 8 Yuanying great demons. He was seriously injured after just resisting for a while. If he hadn't activated golden light of the earth and turned into golden light to escape, those demons would not have been able to catch up and would have been beaten to death by now. Feeling the injuries on his body was like broken ceramics, which were pieced together by a strong force. There are 8 strands of demonic energy on his body that are corroding his body and aggravating his injuries. It is extremely painful. Even gray spots appear on his nascent soul. He took a deep breath, forcibly suppressed his injuries, and practiced his skills. Suddenly, his mana surged like a tide. Wave after wave, waves after waves. 3 days later, Xuanji opened his eyes and his injuries had healed. His eyes were shining, and there was a trace of destruction surging. At this moment, he is already at the 5th level of the nascent soul. If it were in the past, he would need to constantly polish his mana and purify his nascent soul, and it would take 150 years to enter the 5th level of the nascent soul. But now, with the help of the war, he constantly hunts down nascent soul monsters and refines them into nascent soul pills. His cultivation is rising. In just 10 years, he has promoted a small realm. It was only during the war period, when both sides were caught in a bloody battle, that he could hunt down nascent soul monsters unscrupulously, so he could make such rapid progress. But correspondingly, the consumption of nascent soul pills is also increasing. Next, it's almost impossible to hunt down the nascent soul monster. Xuanji opened the 100 maps and frowned slightly. This time, he was wrong. Once, he thought that with the help of the 100 maps, he could accurately locate the enemy, know the enemy and know yourself, and fight 100 battles without danger. But this time, the 7 monsters used some secret techniques to hide their tracks, and even the 100 maps could not detect them. So, he was trapped in the siege of 8 monsters and almost died. This loss also made him realize a problem, that mobile phones are not omnipotent, and the 100 maps are not omnipotent either. Maybe because the mobile phone is of a low grade, or his cultivation is limited, there are some means to deceive the detection of the 100 maps. The 100 maps cannot detect the location of the god of transformation. Where is the blood-bat monster lord? Xuanji frowned slightly. He couldn't help but think of Xuanji. When she took action, she restrained the blood-bat monster lord. He was trapped in the pursuit of the god of transformation, and he didn't know what the situation was now. Where is the road ahead? At this moment, Xuanji enlarged the map of 100 maps, and red and blue dots appeared on the territory of Chu. The situation of the war between the two sides was clearly visible on the map of 100 maps. Before the war, the human race had a population of 2 trillion, but now it is less than 10 billion. These remaining human races are trapped in some cities and resist stubbornly. Like reefs in the sea, they seem to be submerged by the sea at any time. At this moment, the demon race is mobilizing. About 300 Yuanian cultivators appeared in all directions, and there were more than 5,000 Jiandan cultivators, countless Zifu demon cultivators, foundation building demon cultivators, etc., who began to besiege some cities of the human race, and were about to clear the last strongholds of the human race. As for those cities, there were less than 50 Yuanian cultivators of the human race guarding them. At the moment of crisis, most of the Yuanian cultivators and Jiandan cultivators of the human race chose to abandon Chu and flee from Chu. As the saying goes, if you keep the green mountains, you will not worry about having no firewood to burn. It's like when a war breaks out, those rich capitalists have various means to flee abroad, and they are still the best in the world when they go abroad. But the people of the middle and lower classes can't run away, even if they want to, and can only live and die with the country. Similarly, when the state of Chu fell, most of the nascent soul cultivators, golden core cultivators, etc., fled the state of Chu through various channels. But those lower class people and lower class cultivators couldn't run away, even if they wanted to, and could only live and die with the state of Chu. After the outbreak of the war, there were 7-level nascent soul cultivators who chose to run away, 5-level golden core cultivators who chose to run away, and less than 2-level prefectural cultivators who ran away. As for the foundation building cultivators and key refining cultivators, most of them couldn't run away and could stay in the state of Chu. There were too few high-level cultivators who stayed in the state of Chu and chose to fight to the end. Chapter 458, Impact of Transformation. The fall of Chu. The people were devastated. It was like a purgatory on earth. Standing on the top of the mountain, Xuanji opened the 100 maps, and on the map, Chu had already fallen, with only a few strongholds resisting. The fierce battle has now ended, and the overall situation has been decided. The demon race has won. The future is bleak, and there is no hope for the future. The only chance of winning is Danji Xianzhen. As long as he appears, the situation will improve. Lu Xuanji pondered. Don't look at the fall of Chu. The situation is critical, but as long as the human race's incarnations return, they can quickly sweep across the world, recapture Chu, and save the situation. In the world of cultivating immortals, it is important to have a large number of people, but it is also extremely important to crush the high realm. As long as those incarnations return, the situation will change drastically in an instant. The human race's incarnations are trapped in the secret realm. When will they return? Where is that secret realm? But relying on them blindly is not good. Lu Xuanji pondered, looking to the southeast. Where is the territory of Yu? As long as the 6 Desires Demon Lord of Yu Kingdom takes action, the situation will be saved. Lu Xuanji was in a state of confusion, and at this moment, he suddenly felt something. He saw the void flashing, and a woman walked out. It was Xuanji. Xuanji's aura was strong as the mountains and seas, and she was already at the 9th level of the nascent soul. There was a hint of weakness in the strong aura, as if she was seriously injured. You are injured. How is your injury? Lu Xuanji was surprised and asked. Ahem. Xuanji coughed and said, the god of transformation is very powerful. Even a fake like the Bloodbat Demon Lord has a fighting power far beyond the nascent soul. I kept coughing up blood, and was defeated in dozens of consecutive battles. I barely escaped with the help of the Chaos Palace, and finally relied on. At this point, Xuanji's expression became solemn, and a hint of weirdness flashed in his eyes, and there was a hint of unwillingness. What happened? Lu Xuanji asked. At this moment, he felt that there was something wrong with Xuanji. In the fierce battle, I was not the opponent of the Bloodbat Demon Lord, but at the critical moment, Qinglian took control of my body and urged her magic power to forcibly repel the Bloodbat Demon Lord. Not long ago, Qinglian used a secret technique to forcibly cut off the connection with me. Now she is no longer my clone, but a separate individual, and left not long ago. How is it possible? The clone can actually escape the control of the original body and disappear. Lu Xuanji listened, as if it were a fairy tale, and felt incredible. It felt like a dream. The first reaction was that it was impossible. He had comprehended the 2 yin and 2 yang illusionary body. The relationship between the original body and the clone was like the yin-yang Teikai diagram, carrying different personalities respectively, one carrying a kind personality, one carrying an evil personality, one carrying an immortal sword body, and one carrying a heavenly demon body. They have the same memories and the same worldview. The only difference is that they are affected by the skills, and their personalities are very different. One is domineering, the other is gentle, one is extreme and irritable, and the other is calm and arrogant. However, no matter what, the two are essentially the same. But now, true Lord Qinglian has left. It's like the left hand betraying the right hand, just like one betrays oneself. In this world, wives will betray husbands, sons will betray fathers, and ministers will betray kings, but it's impossible for one to betray oneself. Xuanji said, is it impossible? I think it's impossible too. But the impossible thing happened. As she spoke, she told the story. After being chased by the Bloodbat demon, she urged the Chaos Palace to fight for a long time, but she was still no match for the Bloodbat demon. At this moment, her body changed, and true Lord Qinglian's will took over her body. At the same time, her cultivation level rose steadily, and she forcibly entered the realm of the 9th level of the nascent soul. True Lord Qinglian controlled the ancient Chaos Palace, and suppressed it continuously. After hundreds of moves, the Bloodbat demon was defeated and fled. Later, true Lord Qinglian urged the secret technique to kill herself from the original body. At that time, a green lotus appeared behind her. The yin and yang energies above the green lotus were born and died, evolving into supreme creation, and her cultivation was infinitely close to the cultivation of the spirit. Thanks to the improvement of the cultivation of the true Lord Qinglian, her cultivation was also constantly improving, and she was promoted to the 9th level of the nascent soul. I'm the original body, and the cultivation of the clone will not exceed that of the original body. But in the case of the true Lord Qinglian, the shackles were broken abruptly, and the impossible became possible. Her cultivation increased dramatically, which led to the improvement of my cultivation, and I also entered the 9th level of the nascent soul. Xuanji said bitterly. Before leaving, she took away the Chaos Ancient Palace and disappeared. Xuanji said. At this moment, Xuanji was also speechless and didn't know what to say. When you betray yourself, when you slap your right face with your left hand, what should you do then? He really has no way. Xuanji's current situation is similar to the symptoms of schizophrenia, and the self at a certain moment defeats the current self. The good-minded me is me, and the evil-minded me is me. Both of them are me, but they just fight each other. The me of now is me, and the me of the future is me. Both are me, but now the me of now, and the me of the future are fighting. He didn't know what to say about such a dispute and conflict. This also shows that those secret techniques of clones are potentially dangerous and may cause accidents. Xuanji opened his mouth and was about to go forward to comfort him, but at the moment of opening his mouth, he felt that the vitality outside was violently fluctuating, and a trace of destructive power was violently surging. A terrifying tide formed in the void, making a humming sound. Crack, crack. At this moment, there was a flash of destructive lightning in the void, and the void turned white. What's happening? Xuanji asked, puzzled. Someone is attacking the god of transformation. Xuanji said. How is it possible? Xuanji flashed with surprise. The two looked at each other and flew away. I have to go and see who is attacking the god of transformation. The appearance of this god of transformation is enough to change the situation between the human race and the demon race. If a demon clan had a god, the situation in Chu would be even more critical, but if a human clan had a god, it would ease the situation. Woohoo. At this moment, a terrifying vision appeared in the void. The spiritual energy was surging violently, turning into a violent storm that swept over, and the range became larger and larger, directly forming a huge diameter of 100,000 miles. Such violent fluctuations could not hide the energy at all. Many powerful people from the demon clan and the human clan all sensed the situation here. They all moved and headed to the scene of the incident, wanting to find out which genius was going to impact the god. Regardless of victory or defeat, it was a huge celebration. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, Leading the Two Souls of Heaven and Earth. The void was flickering. Xuanji was shuttling quickly, and the golden light was flickering. About half a day later, they arrived at the scene of the incident. On a barren mountain, there stood a woman wearing a green dress, with a green lotus floating above her head. Above the green lotus, the yin and yang energies were being born and dying, and below was a demonic domain. The green-clothed woman activated her secret technique, and suddenly the spiritual energy within a radius of 100,000 miles gathered like a tide. The spiritual energy was like a tide, pouring into her body, and her aura was rising steadily. About 10,000 miles away, Xuanji stopped and looked intently. He activated the Dangshan Eye to see the details of the woman, but there was a grey mist around her body, and he couldn't see clearly. It's her. The green lotus is going through the tribulation. At this moment, Xuanji spoke, with a look of horror in his words. How is this possible? She has a shallow foundation and a shallow background. How can she be qualified to impact the transformation of the spirit? Unbelievable, unbelievable. However, all this is true. Everything can be deceived, but only oneself cannot be deceived. Although King Lian's engine activated the secret technique to cut off the connection between himself and Jinxie, their auras were extremely familiar. The woman in green was King Lian's engine, but her aura was so powerful that it was about to reach the level of transformation. When Jinxie felt her aura, she felt strange again. Not long ago, King Lian's engine was only at the 9th level of the nascent soul, but how could he dare to reach the level of transformation now? From the 9th level of the nascent soul to the level of transformation, it seems that there is only one small realm, but the gap between them is still long and huge compared to the level of key refining and the level of golden elixir. The level of transformation is also called the realm of the original spirit. It is because, after reaching the peak of the nascent soul, the cultivator can guide the earth soul, and integrate it into the nascent soul, and can enter the half-step transformation, then guide the heaven soul, and enter the nascent soul. When the nascent soul merges with the earth soul and the heaven soul, it can transform into the original spirit. The Yuan-Shan can perceive the changes in space, time, the mysteries of creation, the mysteries of the heart of heaven, the birth and death of all things, the changes in perception, the many laws, the Dao patterns of laws, and the evolution of infinite magical powers. At this point, it is considered to be on the path of immortals. In the ancient Taoist books, the state of transformation of the spirit is called the human immortal. When you reach the state of transformation of the spirit, even in the prosperous era, you are still a supreme giant. Ordinary cultivators have to call you the heavenly venerable when they meet you. Oh no, it is extremely dangerous to guide the earth soul and the heaven soul. If there is no strong person to protect the way, it is very easy to be disturbed and fail. How dare she be so impulsive? Xuanji said, with a flash of impatience in his eyes. King Lian's engine was a little impulsive. It is extremely dangerous to attack the transformation of the spirit. It is because when guiding the earth soul and the heaven soul, the cultivator needs to spend 8 layers of mana, or even 9 layers of mana, and has weak resistance to external attacks. Strong people are needed to protect the way, to survive the external disaster. If it were any other time, choose Dangji Xianzhen, Daniyang Xianzhen, Life Xianzhen, etc. would be very happy to help the peak of the nascent soul, to impact the god transformation. Because of this, Chu would have one more Taoist friend. But now, they are all trapped in the secret realm, without a strong person to protect the way. King Lian's engine is in danger. She is too impulsive. Jinzi said, but King Lian is not a stupid person. I think there are ways to overcome difficulties, and deal with the disaster. Boom boom boom. The void was flashing, and in just a few flashes, several nascent soul monsters appeared in the void. Then, 3 human nascent souls appeared in a certain direction. 2 big monsters appeared in the northwest again. In less than half an hour, more than 30 nascent soul cultivators appeared one after another, including human cultivators and monster cultivators. If it were in the past, when they met, they would have already rushed forward to fight and fight each other. As the saying goes, humans and monsters cannot coexist. But now, neither side is in the mood to fight. As long as they are nascent soul cultivators, they all have the dream of transforming into a god and seek immortality for 5,000 years. Because the situation of the current impact on the god transformation, whether it succeeds or fails, has a certain reference significance for their future impact on the god transformation. Is this a human cultivator? Not necessarily. Is this a green lotus demon? A green lotus is not necessarily a demon. Without the protection of the strong, he will definitely die. That's not bad. He has a chance to impact the god transformation. Among the 20 Yuanying 9th level cultivators, only 1 or 2 can sense the earth soul and the sky soul. We are a group of weaklings. What qualifications do we have to laugh at the strong? A Yuanying demon said. The Yuanying demon wanted to refute something, but fell silent. Yes, what qualifications do a group of weaklings have to laugh at the strong? Regardless of whether the cultivator in front of him failed or succeeded in the impact on the god transformation, he was ahead of them. What qualifications do they have to laugh? After another moment, more than a dozen Yuanying cultivators came. At this time, about 50 Yuanying cultivators from the human and demon races gathered here, guarding against each other, and hostile to each other, but temporarily put aside their grudges, and watched the scene in front of them wholeheartedly. As for the cultivators, who were secretly watching, I don't know how many there were. Interesting. In the void, the bloodbat demon lord appeared, and a trace of murderous intent flashed across his eyes as he looked at the scene in front of him. He couldn't help but think of the scene not long ago, when he was repelled by a 9th level nascent soul cultivator. Although he relied on the power of the Chaos Palace, her magic power was too strong. It's not easy to be at the peak of the nascent soul, to guide the earth soul and the heaven soul, and to prove the Dao, and become a god. When you are pulling the heaven soul and the earth soul, and are in trouble, I will just make a move to kill you. A trace of murderous intent flashed across the bloodbat demon lord. All spirits in the world have 3 souls and 7 spirits. The 3 souls are the heaven soul, the earth soul, and the human soul. Among them, the heaven soul and the earth soul are not in the cultivator. The heaven soul is hidden in the 9 heavens, and the earth soul sinks into the netherworld. As the cultivator's cultivation level increases, the power of the human soul in the body increases. At the same time, the heaven soul and the earth soul, which are nourished by the power of heaven and earth, will also continue to grow, comparable to the body itself. It is very difficult to guide the heaven soul and the earth soul, and it is even a matter of life and death. As long as you take action at the critical moment, you can kill the true Lord Kinglian. At this moment, it seemed that the power was accumulated to the extreme. True Lord Kinglian urged his magic power, and began to summon. The sky was shaking, and a golden sun appeared above the sky. This was the heavenly soul. Then, the earth was shaking violently, and a dark moon rose above the earth. This was the earthly soul. The golden sun and the black dark moon rose at the same time, emitting a magnificent energy, which was as powerful as true Lord Kinglian himself. Buzz buzz buzz. The gold was flashing, constantly falling towards true Lord Kinglian. The black dark moon rose and fell, constantly flying towards true Lord Kinglian. Kill. At this moment, the blood bat demon lord made a move, and the bloody light of destruction attacked true Lord Kinglian. Kill with one strike, no mercy. Chapter 460, Successfully Overcoming the Tribulation, Kinglian Xianzhen. Buzz buzz buzz! Exclamation mark. At this moment, Blood but Celestial Venerable made his move. The blood-colored light gathered together, and turned into a killing edge, tearing down and tearing towards Kinglian Xianzhen. This was a divine attack. At this moment, the Chaos Ancient Palace appeared, expanding and growing, blocking the front. Bang! The blood-colored light bombarded it, and the Chaos Ancient Palace rolled over, and fell to the ground. The ground was shaking violently, and a big pit appeared. But at this moment, Kinglian Xianzhen opened his eyes and said, "Heavenly soul, earthly soul, don't return to your position." Suddenly, the golden sun in the sky fell quickly, and entered its body, and the black dark moon on the ground also moved forward rapidly and followed it. The golden sun and the black dark moon entered the nascent soul together, and the 3 souls of heavenly soul, earthly soul, and human soul merged together, constantly evolving and transforming, and the nascent soul was transforming into the primordial spirit. The speed was so fast that it was astonishing. Buzz buzz! At this moment, Kinglian Xianzhen urged the key to trigger the calamity in the sky. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, the calamity clouds in the sky were gathering, one after another, dark and dense, and the scope was constantly expanding. Starting from a radius of 10 miles, the scope continued to expand, and finally turned into a calamity cloud of 3,000 miles. As the calamity cloud expanded rapidly, the monks who were watching on all sides retreated one after another. Even the blood bat demon venerable who was planning to attack again retreated one after another, fearing that he would be affected by the calamity. How is it possible? How could she be so fast? Even if she attracted the 2 souls of heaven and earth, it is totally unreasonable. The blood bat demon venerable kept retreating, and his expression kept changing, fearing that he would be affected by the calamity cloud. Under the heavenly calamity, no cultivator dared to intervene. Not to mention that he was only a mere spirit transformation cultivator. Even the powerful cultivators of the refining void and the head AO did not dare to intervene in the calamity, because resisting the heavenly calamity is resisting the way of heaven in the world. If he intervened, the calamity would lock on him, and he would either be seriously injured or killed. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the calamity clouds in the sky were gathering, and the heavenly calamity came down. This was the calamity of the spirit transformation. Endless lightning flashed, with sky fire and nightmare wind mixed in. The attributes of the heavenly tribulation were not much different from those of the golden elixir heavenly tribulation and the primordial infant heavenly tribulation, but the power was increased by dozens or hundreds of times. Under the endless heavenly tribulation, a silver white was flashing, annihilating everything. In the endless heavenly tribulation, the body of the Azure Lotus Master was looming, with the Azure Lotus rising and falling, the yin and yang being born and dying, and the black devil soil rolling. The battle in the heavenly tribulation was so lively. However, the blood bat demon venerable ignored all this, but was thinking and puzzled. It only took 2 breaths for her to lead the heaven soul and the earth soul into her body. How is this possible? The blood bat demon venerable pondered. Back then, I spent 7 days to lead the earth soul, and another month to lead the heaven soul. To lead the heaven and earth souls is to fight against the power of heaven and earth. How could she be so fast? How is it possible? Xuanji said puzzledly, with a flash of horror in his eyes. Is this still me? Why did the true Lord Kinglian receive the two souls of heaven and earth in just 2 breaths? This is unreasonable. The Jin family is also a large family in Zhongzhou, and has produced powerful people who have reached the state of transformation. In the family's notes, there are some records of impacting the state of transformation. When impacting the state of transformation, it is often the first to receive the earth soul, which is less difficult and takes 3 to 10 days. Then, receiving the sky soul is more difficult and takes 10 to 3 days. The nascent soul merges with the earth soul and enters the half-step transformation of the spirit, then merges with the sky soul and enters the state of transformation of the spirit. They are all divided into 2 steps, but the true Lord Kinglian did it in 1 step, integrating the earth soul and the sky soul at the same time. It only took 2 breaths to receive the earth soul and integrate the sky soul into the nascent soul. It is unreasonable, extremely unreasonable. Zia, how is your self created, 2 yin life and death body? Xuanji asked. It's just a start, Xuanji said. Kinglian's yin yang body is about to be perfected. Xuanji sighed. She used the technique of using the force of others to attack her, and used the mutual attraction of the 2 energies of yin and yang to guide the heavenly soul and earthly soul back to their positions. This is faster than guiding a single soul alone. The effect is too good. In a trance, all the abnormalities and weirdness of Kinglian's engine could be explained clearly. At the beginning, he deduced the yin-yang body on his mobile phone and gave it to Kinglian's engine. However, this set of supreme magical powers seemed to be too effective. It not only helped Kinglian's engine get rid of the shackles of the clone, but also allowed her to understand the secrets of yin and yang, quickly guide the heavenly soul and earthly soul, and impact the realm of transformation. The series of consequences caused were unimaginable even to him. He just threw a stone casually, but this stone triggered a tsunami. Boom boom boom. The void was ringing, the heavenly tribulation was condensing, and the silver lightning came one after another, with increasing power. The aura of the true Lord Kinglian was fading, but his body was constantly rising and falling. He activated his skills to absorb spiritual energy, to make up for his own losses. The spiritual energy around him merged into his body while whistling, and his cultivation was rising step by step. Sizzle. Another lightning flashed, and the lightning flashed with colorful colors, with the power of the 5 element. The true Lord Kinglian activated his secret technique and jumped up. The yin and yang energies condensed together, and turned into a long sword to kill. Bang bang. With a harsh sound, the 5th heavenly tribulation dissipated. Then, the 6th heavenly tribulation, the 7th heavenly tribulation, and the 8th heavenly tribulation continued to bombard and kill, continuously, with rolling thunder, annihilating everything and destroying all laws. But the true Lord Kinglian stood in the tribulation, activating the yin and yang energies, evolving into the yin and yang diagram, yin and yang sun shao, yin and yang sword and other killing moves, and constantly fighting. Finally, it was the moment of the 9th tribulation. This tribulation was extremely fierce, as if it would annihilate everything. The silver lightning was changing, turning into golden lightning, and the golden light swept over, annihilating everything. With a roar, the 9th heavenly tribulation dissipated. Seeing the tribulation dissipate, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Xuanji also breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time there was a hint of sadness and jealousy. The human cultivators were cheering. A divine transformation celestial master was born, enough to change the situation. But at this moment, a bloody light blasted down, and the bloody light in the sky covered an area of 10 miles, sweeping over. Kinglian's engine urged the vision, and suddenly a blue lotus rose up, and the blue light flashed, sweeping over everything and suppressing everything. The bloody light and the blue light clashed together. After 3 breaths, it dissipated. Kinglian kid, die. The blood bat demon lord snorted coldly, and a bloody seal appeared on his palm, and the seal suppressed it across the sky. Suddenly, it seemed like an endless sea of blood swept down. Chapter 461, The demon race has no martial ethics. Woohoo. With the appearance of the blood-colored seal, it was only the size of a fist at first, but gradually it became hundreds of feet in size. high above like a small mountain suppressing down. On the blood-colored seal, there was a terrifying bloody aura, which stretched out like an endless sea of blood. In the sea of blood, there were many resentful souls of the human race rising and falling in it. They were all evil spirits, with anger and unwillingness, and endless resentment. The number of these human ghosts reached tens of billions. These resentful souls of the human race were all slaughtered by the blood bat demon Venerable. If it were at an ordinary time, he would immediately attract the attention of the human race's incarnation. Maybe Xuanji Xianzhen would come to the door and kill him directly. But now the top strongman of the Chu state disappeared, giving him a chance. Woohoo. The blood-colored seal attacked down with a corrosive breath, but it only hit the protective aura of Xuanji Xianzhen and immediately made a hissing sound. The aura was eroded and riddled with holes. He activated the Chaos Ancient Palace and blocked the front. As the Ancient Palace operated, the Chaos Key surged out and evolved into the Chaos Divine Fire, which burned violently. The Blood Sea and the Chaos Divine Fire clashed and melted each other. Swish. Kinglian's footsteps flashed, and he quickly moved to the left. The magic power on his right hand condensed and evolved into a green lotus. The green lotus was 10 feet high, with flowers blooming and lotus leaves rising. Boom boom boom. Driving the green lotus, the green light on the green lotus flashed, and it turned into the power of extinction to suppress it. Blood evil breaking heaven sword. When the blood bat demon Venerable made a move, the blood-colored longsword condensed and turned into a blood-colored longsword to slash down. Endless blood waves surged down like the tide. Kinglian went straight forward and collided with it. Boom boom boom. A violent explosion surged, and the energy of destruction was emitted in the void. The terrifying energy ripples spread to the surroundings, forming a water wave-like texture in the void. The scattered energy hit the ground, making it bumpy. It hit the mountain peaks, causing them to collapse. It hit the river, causing the river to change course. Even when it hit the cultivators, they were either killed on the spot or seriously injured. The people who were originally besieging retreated one after another, avoiding the aftermath of the energy. A few Yuanian cultivators were unable to dodge, or were too unlucky, and were directly hit by the aftermath of the energy. Their bodies were destroyed, leaving only the Yuanian, which turned into a stream of light and escaped. Xuanji and Jinzi also evacuated quickly and left. There was panic on their faces, and a little shock. Boom boom boom. Looking at the sky, the fierce battle between the two gods was like a blood-red sun colliding with a blue sun. It was like two large human-shaped hydrogen bombs colliding with each other and exploding high-concentration collisions with each other. Such a fierce scene made Xuanji feel relaxed and happy. Originally, Xuanji was still a little proud, thinking that his cultivation was not bad. After all, he had killed a Yuanian 9th level cultivator. Even if he was defeated by a powerful god-transforming cultivator, he could still escape unscathed. But now he was overthinking it. A god-transforming cultivator only needed one move to kill him. With one move, he was killed in an instant, with no chance of survival. Facing a powerful god-transforming cultivator, a Yuanian cultivator was as weak as a baby, like a tiger. How could a baby be a match for a tiger? She is so powerful. Is this still me? Jinzi was puzzled, and he didn't know Kinglian's engine anymore. No, it should be Xuanji Xianzhen now. Boom boom boom. The two sides clashed with each other, so fast that no shadows could be seen. Only the collision of green light and blood light, and various killing moves were quickly played, at an extremely fast speed. At the moment of the 100-stroke confrontation, Xuanji Xianzhen stepped forward, his left hand evolved into a sun, and his right hand evolved into a bright moon. He punched out. Bang! The blood-colored seal hit the golden sun. Cracks appeared on the blood-colored seal. The black moon also bombarded the body of the blood bat demon. Boom boom boom. Half of the blood bat demon's body was bombarded into particles, and his body hit the ground like a sloped bag, and a big pit appeared on the ground. The ground also shook violently, like an earthquake. Kill. Xuanji Xianzhen stepped forward and stomped on it. As his footsteps suppressed it, an illusory demon domain evolved, with evil spirits wailing and demons struggling. The blood bat demon had a ferocious look, blood-red eyes, and the evil spirit on his body was boiling. He urged the blood-colored magic power to turn into a destructive light to fight back, but it was useless, and was bombarded again. Bloodbat Demon Venerable, you are too weak. King Lian attacked with fierce killing moves, but at the moment of attack, he also sarcastically said, among the 8 demon lords of the demon clan, your cultivation is the weakest, worthy of being the shame of the incarnation. No wonder, those incarnation masters are all fighting for opportunities in the secret realm, only you retreated, feared, and evacuated back. Haha. Bloodbat Demon Venerable sneered, you are too much, the heavenly demon disintegration method. The breath on his body was boiling, as if he was about to activate the secret technique, and enter a desperate state. In the next moment, the blood-colored escape light flashed under his feet, and his body was changing, turning into a 3-foot-long blood-colored bat, and the speed continued to soar, and he fled for his life. He was strong in less than 3 seconds, and then he chose to run away. As long as the green mountains are there will be no worries about firewood. Don't run. King Lian Xianzhen activated the escape light, and the green light flashed, chasing and killing. In just a few breaths, it disappeared in the distance. As the 2 powerful gods disappeared, the battle ended in a whimper. Everyone was speechless watching this scene. It was easy for gods to determine the winner, but it was difficult to determine life and death. After all, if you can't beat them, just run away. It's hard to kill them. Kill. At this moment, as the 2 gods left, the Yuanying of the human race and the Yuanying of the demon race looked at each other. Their murderous aura was boiling. Their eyes turned blood red, and the 2 sides fought together. Boom boom boom. The sword energy surged, the knife light flashed, the flames boiled, the frost paved the ground, the void was frozen, and the earth shield resisted quickly. Various killing moves, various unique skills, various secret techniques, etc. appeared one after another, and the human and demon races fought again and fought together. Lu Xuanji urged the 5-color divine sword, and stepped forward to kill a Yuanying. The Yuanying monk urged a long spear, and the long spear flashed, as if the stars were flashing, and stabbed. Swish, swish. The knife and the spear collided, and the 2 sides fought together. In the blink of an eye, they exchanged more than a dozen moves. However, at this moment, another flame descended and burned towards Lu Xuanji. Lu Xuanji dodged, but another 100-meter long sword came to kill, flying in the air, suppressing everything. The long sword pushed it away, but the next moment, there was another flame attack and a spear stabbing. In an instant, the 3 demon clan Yuanying joined forces, and attacked in a group, without any respect for martial ethics. Chapter 462, Questioning the Void Pill, Battle in the Secret Realm. Boom boom boom. As the killing move surged, Lu Xuanji was once again caught in a group fight. The situation was somewhat unfavorable. Not only here, but also in other places, the human race was under siege. Run. At this moment, Lu Xuanji activated Golden Light of the Earth, and the golden light under his feet was flashing. The speed was comparable to that of the god of transformation. It was thousands of miles away in just a breath. In another 2 breaths, it completely disappeared. The 3 Yuanying cultivators behind wanted to chase and kill him, but they could only eat farts behind. At the same time, other human cultivators also activated the secret technique to escape. The demon Yuanying wanted to chase and kill him, but they were afraid of being ambushed, and had to give up. Dozens of Yuanying fought together, but no one died after the battle. After more than a dozen breaths, Lu Xuanji stopped. A moment later, Jinzi also came. The 2 looked at each other, speechless for a long time, and wanted to say something, but it turned into silence. Some jealousy. King Lian was at the same level as them in the past, but with the attainment of the god of transformation, they are no longer at the same level. A little disappointed about the gap between them, and a hint of sadness. The 2 looked at each other for a moment, and Jinzi said, not long ago, news came that Master Fiaidu invited us to the capital of Chu. There are many formations set up by powerful people in the capital of Chu. It is as solid as a rock. The defense there is extremely strong, and it is difficult to break through. Master Fiaidu invited us to fight against the monsters. There are many powerful people in the human race. If they fight against the monsters, they may not lose. It's just that they were caught off guard not long ago. The human race was defeated one by one, causing the situation to deteriorate. The imperial capital, of course we have to go. Lu Xuanji nodded. But the imperial capital also has unpredictable dangers. When it comes to a crisis, the monsters are terrible, but the human race is also unreliable. Xuanji expressed his concerns. I suspect that there are some traitors among them. It's very dangerous for us to enter. Xuanji asked. At this point, how can there still be cultivators who are traitors? Xuanji said, those Yuanying powerhouses can't go to the monsters. But the demon race has some secret techniques that can control the strong men of the human race. For example, the secret technique of salvation, the secret technique of puppetry, and some strange possession techniques, all of which can control some nascent soul strong men. We may encounter some great dangers on our way to the imperial capital. Xuanji said, we have to be careful. Then let's go. Xuanji said. The two looked at each other. Tenderness flashed in each other's eyes, and they turned into a stream of light, and went to the capital of Chu. At this moment, in the void, a woman in green was high above, and happened to see the scene. A trace of bitterness flashed across her expression. You have her in your heart, but what am I? King Lian said bitterly. Not long ago, she defeated the Bloodbat Demon Lord, but she was a beat slower, and couldn't catch up in time, so she had to give up. But when she returned, she saw the scene of Xuanji and Xuanji being close. She wanted to go down and say something, but finally fell silent. Not long ago, she cut off many causes and effects, and became an independent individual. From then on, she was no longer restricted by her main body. Her cultivation continued to improve, and she took advantage of the opportunity to prove her Taoism and become a god. But she also lost a lot of things. At this moment, looking at Xuanji again, and looking at Xuanji again, she wanted to go forward and get close to them, but there was a slight barrier. Forget it. Suppressing the thoughts in her heart, King Lian disappeared. Having just achieved the state of incarnation, her cultivation base has improved a lot, and her combat effectiveness has improved even faster. But correspondingly, her combat skills, magical powers, secret techniques, etc., seem to be insufficient. It takes a period of precipitation and consolidation of the foundation before she can go further. In a certain secret realm, the war is breaking out, the void is colliding, and the tide of destruction is one after another. The 3 incarnations of the human race and the 7 incarnations of the demon race are fighting each other. The 2 sides fought bloody battles, the surrounding space was fluctuating violently, and the tide of destruction was one after another. In the battle, the human race was at a disadvantage. At this moment, the void exploded. With the shattering of a cave, Dongji Xianzhen flew out. But at this moment, his body was like broken porcelain, his blood and energy were waning, but his expression was full of joy. Don't run. Stay and ask Zuden. At this moment, the 7 demon gods shouted and activated their magic to attack. The 7 gods joined forces. How powerful they are. But Dongji Xianzhen's eyes flashed with determination, and a shield appeared on his palm. Activating the shield, golden light flashed on the shield, and many runes rose up, constantly evolving into absolute defense. Boom boom boom. The 7 demon gods joined forces, and bombarded the shield, but were forcibly blocked. Kill. The 7 gods joined forces and bombarded again, killing moves surging, and sword energy soaring into the sky. The flames of destruction impacted, the cold air of Xuanming eroded, the endless waves surged, the sharp sword energy cut, the endless demonic energy surged, the 9 color light suppressed, and one killing move after another bombarded. At this moment, the 3 gods of the human race also rushed over. The 2 sides fought bloody again. During the confrontation, Houta Xianzhen asked, what's the situation? Success. Good. Life Xianzhen nodded and said, it's a pity that Bidao Xianzhen is only left with his primordial spirit, and he has passed away. What a pity, we must treat fellow Daoist Bidao's descendants well. Dongji Xianzhen coughed, and took a spiritual medicine with his right hand, to recover from his injuries. The medicinal power was melting, and quickly integrated into his body, and his cultivation was recovering little by little. After a moment of fierce fighting, Dongji Xianzhen activated his secret technique, and suddenly the sky was torn apart, and a huge gap appeared. Swish. At Dongji Xianzhen's call, several gods fled one after another. The 7 gods of the demon clan wanted to chase and kill him, but it was too late. What a pity, he still escaped. Black Dragon Demon Venerable sighed, a flash of anger and unwillingness in his eyes. Not long ago, this secret realm was exposed. According to the leaked momentum, the atmosphere inside is ancient, and there are some treasures in it. So, Dongji Xianzhen entered it first, and then other human gods also entered it one after another, and the demon gods also entered it. At the beginning, both sides were relatively calm, maintaining a fight without breaking. But with the appearance of some top treasures, the fight between the two sides became fierce. The appearance of the questioning void pill completely stimulated the contradiction between the two sides. So, the two sides no longer cared about anything else, and fought bloody battles together. This fierce battle lasted for 50 years. In the fight, Bidao Xianzhen even fell and left, with only a trace of his residual soul turning into a calamity. As for the demon race, the Fire Phoenix Demon Venerable Nirvana left, and the god of the underworld Demon Venerable also turned into a calamity. However, in the end, the human race won. Dongji Xianzhen successfully broke through the cave, obtained the questioning void pill, and left smoothly. The demon race suffered a great loss. Chapter 463 Return of the God. Swish. The 7 gods of the demon race teamed up to tear apart the secret realm and escape. Looking at the many powerful human race masters who had already escaped, many powerful demon race masters were silent and lost the desire to chase. It was very difficult to kill the enemy at the level of god transformation. If the enemy wanted to escape, it would be impossible to stop him without 3 or 5 cultivators of the same level. It was useless to chase him, so it was better not to chase him. This will be a big trouble. Jinwu Yaozhen said, with a hint of worry in his words. Dongji Xianzhen is already at the 9th level of the spirit transformation, but it is almost impossible for him to understand the way of reality and illusion, and enter the realm of refining emptiness. But after having the questioning void pill, it is also possible to impact the realm of refining emptiness. In the future, my demon clan will have another powerful enemy. Kank Yaozhen said, why don't we join forces to attack the human race and start a decisive battle? Not appropriate. At this time, Xuanwu Yaozhen said, since you have lost, you should accept the defeat. There is no need to entangle endlessly. Continuing the war will be extremely disadvantageous to my demon clan. Yes, peace is the most precious. Another demon lord said. At this moment, the demon clan's spirit transformation masters began to split into 2 factions. One faction advocated a war with the state of Chu, and the other faction's patriarch reconciled with the state of Chu. The 2 sides were in a quarrel. Jinwu Yaozhen looked at this scene and felt sad. Before the fight started, the demon clan had already split. The void was flashing, and the 4 spirit transformations of the human race flashed quickly. Just 3 days later, they returned to the state of Chu. But when they arrived in the territory of the state of Chu, they saw monsters running rampant, monsters killing people, destruction everywhere, and killing everywhere. Monsters were fighting and killing people, and the human race became blood food, and was hunted in large numbers. At this time, the state of Chu was extremely miserable. The state of Chu has undergone a huge change, and most areas of the state of Chu have fallen. Dongji Xianzhen frowned slightly and calculated the secrets of heaven with his fingers. After a moment of calculation, he got some information. Just when they fell into the secret realm, the human race and the monster race entered a bloody battle and confronted each other, and the monster race began to attack the human race. At the beginning, the human race and the monster race were at the border, confronting each other and fighting fiercely. Each other had wins and losses. But when the blood bat monster appeared, he began to be shameless and began to bully the weak. So some cities at the border fell one after another, and many monks in them were all killed. The defense line that the state of Chu painstakingly built soon collapsed, and the human race suffered a catastrophe. The Chu state was captured by the monster beasts, and countless human beings became blood food for the monster beasts, and many monks were killed. The human race was extremely miserable. In less than 50 years, 98% of the population of the Chu state disappeared, and the remaining few were trapped in the capital of Chu. Some other cities were also shaky and about to fall at any time. It has been only 50 years since we last saw it, and the once prosperous Chu state has become a purgatory on earth. The cause of all this was the blood bat demon venerable. If it was just the human Yuanying, and the demon Yuan fighting. Even if the human race was defeated, it would not be defeated so badly. However, the bloodbath demon Venerable personally went down and shamelessly killed the low-level cultivators of the human race, and the ordinary people completely collapsed the situation. In just 50 years, 500 billion human beings were killed by the bloodbath demon Venerable, and the number of dead human beings accounted for 20% of the population of the Chu state. As for the Yuan monks killed, there were as many as 50. As for the Jiandan cultivators and Zifu cultivators, their number is even more numerous. In the fierce battle, when the human race's Yuan and the demon race were fighting fiercely, the bloodbath demon Venerable took the lead and brought down destruction. Damn it, I must kill him. Dongji Xianzhen said angrily. Along with the anger evolved into endless blood mist that rose up, as if it was about to turn into a natural disaster. Daniyang Xianzhen said, the opening of the secret realm this time was a bit sudden. There are 8 incarnations of the demon race participating in the competition, and 3 incarnations did not participate. They are all in seclusion. The bloodbath demon Venerable is one of them. I didn't take him seriously, but who would have thought he was so cruel? We still underestimated him. If he didn't take action, it would be fine. He was born to destroy everything. He was too cruel. Whether it is the human race or the demon race, the number of incarnations far exceeds the published data. It's just that some incarnations are very low-key and faded out of people's sight, as if they don't exist. Bloodbath demon Venerable is one of them. He is low-key and introverted, like a small transparent person. He does not participate in any big battles. He is almost non-existent. It is said that he is in seclusion somewhere in the 10,000 mountains, comprehending the supreme Dao, and breaking through the bottleneck. As for the location of the seclusion, it is unknown. But such a low-key bloodbath demon Venerable is a person who cannot be judged by appearance. He is low-key at ordinary times, but he is ruthless and ruthless at the critical moment. He succeeded in stealing the house perfectly, and killed most of the human race in the territory of Chu. It can be said that the loss is huge. It is necessary to kill bloodbath demon Venerable. Dongji Xianzhen said, urging the secret technique to start calculating the location of bloodbath demon Venerable, but the result is a blur, and it is impossible to determine its specific location. Alas, my deduction skills are not as good as Bidao Xianzhen after all, and I can't deduce its position at all. Bloodbath demon Venerable follows the path of blood and can improve his cultivation by constantly devouring blood. If it were the past, he would be afraid of our rules and dare not devour a large number of humans. But this time, if he purifies the blood of the devoured humans, he may break the shackles and enter an unprecedented realm. Daniyang Xianzhen frowned, but thought of a horrible ending. The human race is in trouble. After robbing the human race and devouring a large amount of blood this time, the bloodbath demon Venerable was a little full and had some indigestion. But in a few decades or hundreds of years, as long as he digests the blood he devoured this time and continuously improves the essence of life, his cultivation will be greatly improved to an astonishing degree. At that time, he must be the enemy of the human race. Every bite and every drink, there is gain and loss. Dongji Xianzhen said, the secrets of heaven are hard to predict. In the battle for treasures in the secret realm, our human race won a great victory, but in the battle between the 2 races outside, our human race was defeated. Is this the calamity? Everyone was silent. There are gains and losses, but the gains and losses are difficult to calculate. But silence is the best answer. It is worth it to exchange a Wengsu pill for the huge casualties of a Chu state. At this time, Dongji Xianzhen has already reached the 9th level of the God of Transformation, but he still lacks some mysteries for the refining void realm. But a Wengsu pill has a few more possibilities to impact the refining void. For the possibility of the refining void realm, everything is worth it. According to the contract, we should share some treasures. Daniyang Xianzhen said. Yes, some treasures are divided equally. How to Xianzhen also said. Before the war, everyone joined forces to fight bloody battles and resisted the siege of the 7 gods of the demon race because of Dongji Xianzhen's promise and oath. Now, it's time to fulfill the oath. Chapter 464, Distribution of Treasures. At this moment, everyone spoke up and looked at Dongji Xianzhen. In this secret realm battle, Dongji Xianzhen was able to enter the cave smoothly. Of course, he was strong, but it was also because of the joint efforts of the 4 great gods of the human race to resist the attack of the demon race. In the fierce battle, 1 god of the human race fell, and the remaining 3 were also injured, with huge losses. After the battle until now, Dongji Xianzhen must give compensation and fulfill his previous promise. Of course. Dongji Xianzhen nodded and said, in this battle, I only need to ask for the void pill, and the other treasures can be divided among you. In this battle, Bidao Daoyao fell first, and there is no news after the calamity, but the compensation given to him cannot be reduced at all. Of course. Hao To Xianzhen nodded. The other 2 gods also nodded in agreement. Everyone is tolerant of the dead. In the battle, Bidao Xianzhen fell and left. No matter what the reason was, he must be given the greatest compensation. Similarly, the price of the void pill is the highest, but it is useless to them. They were still a long way from the realm of refining emptiness, so the questioning void pill would not be very useful in their hands. On the contrary, it would be most useful to Dongji Xianzhen, who was trying to reach the realm of refining emptiness. At this moment, Dongji Xianzhen opened his storage bag. A long spear appeared, about 12 feet long, with black patterns and blood-colored talismans on it, intertwined with each other, with a sharp aura like fire, like the ripples of the tide. This spear was called the Fiery Spear, and it was a 6th grade spiritual treasure. Another formation diagram flew out, with 82 flying swords in it, the sword energy soaring into the sky, and a faint evil spirit surging. The formation diagram was of the quasi 6th grade, and the 82 flying swords were of the peak of the 5th grade. Another fruit, called the mysterious dark fruit, was a 6th grade spiritual fruit. After the transformation god cultivator took it, it took 200 years to refine it, and it could be promoted to a small realm. He opened the gourd again, and there was a fist-sized pill inside, which was the Yuanshan pill, which could help the peak of the Yuanying to reach the realm of the transformation god, and could increase the general situation by 3 layers. He opened the gourd again, and there were 15 Yuanying pills inside. He took out another crystal, and sealed a longevity fruit in it, which could increase his lifespan by 2,000 years. In addition, there were 300,000 top-grade spirit stones, a broken 6th grade spirit treasure, a basin-sized iron of good fortune, a house-sized 9 heavens god jade, a corpse of a 6th grade demon beast, and some animal skin scrolls, which recorded 2 supreme magical powers, 3 volumes of exercises, etc. They were placed on the ground, and everyone present, who was a powerful god, was stunned by the harvest. These treasures were of great value. The gods were also very excited. If it weren't for the signing of an agreement in advance, and the determination of the distribution plan, there might be a bloody fight now. We roughly estimate the value of some spirit stones, and then distribute them according to the price. Those who have more will make up for it, and those who have less will be compensated. Dongji Xianzhen said. That's right. I want this spear. Hao To Xianzhen stepped forward and took the fiery gun. Daniyang Xianzhen stepped forward and took the mysterious nether fruit. Life Xianzhen stepped forward and took a Yuanshan pill. Everyone started to divide the treasures, and soon the treasures were divided. The treasures fell into their pockets, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The demons are bullying us too much. We should counterattack. Daniyang Xianzhen said. The other gods nodded. While they were exploring the secret realm, the demons did not follow the moral code and directly stole the house. How could they be willing to come back without revenge? The void flashed and changed, and the 7 gods of the demons also returned to the Death Mountain. Jinwu Yaozan urged the Divine Mind to summon them, but it took less than 10 breaths. A man in black appeared and said respectfully, "Greetings, Father, congratulations on your safe return. What happened recently? Tell me in detail, don't leave anything out." Jinwu Yaozan said. "Yes, Father," the man in black said, and told the big things that happened in the past 50 years. He spoke very slowly and carefully. The 7 gods listened, and their faces changed again and again. The situation was a little out of control. In just 50 years, a shocking change happened, and the magnitude of the change was beyond their expectations. During these 50 years, most areas of Chu state fell, most of the population became blood food for the demons, and a large number of low-level monks died. In the battle, the human race was defeated and lost miserably, and the situation was worrying. The demon successfully stole the house. In this battle, the bloodbath demon Venerable was actually killed. He bullied the weak, and hunted down Yuanying monks many times, and more than 50 Yuanying monks died. In this battle, the bloodbath demon Venerable played shamelessness to the extreme. It's a big trouble. The bloodbath demon Venerable is timid and afraid of trouble. He dared not go to the secret realm to fight for treasures, but hunted the younger generation, and caused us a lot of trouble. Kunpeng demon Venerable said angrily, wishing to step forward and slap the bloodbath demon Venerable a few times. How could there be such a scum among the demons? After reaching the God of Transformation, the God of Transformation monks rarely take action against Yuanying, not because of moral integrity, but because of the impact. Under the constraints of certain unspoken rules, they cannot take action. But the bloodbath demon Venerable was good. He directly attacked the weak with his big body, which undoubtedly broke the so-called rules. Yes, after killing many people, he patted his butt and left, but we are in trouble. The Xuanwu demon clan said, next, how to end the war. The 4 great gods of the human race have returned, and the demon race does not have much advantage. If we continue to fight, we will suffer a great loss. Now, we can only retreat. The Golden Crow demon Venerable also said, retreat. The other gods also nodded. The general policy was determined, and the demon race should retreat. Then, the Golden Crow demon Venerable took out a piece of animal skin and opened it. It was a map. On it, the forces of the 2 races were distributed, as well as some important mountains, rivers, plains, cities, etc. Opening the map, everyone was discussing. After about an hour, the final plan was finally determined. There were clear plans for the territories to withdraw, the fortresses to defend, the division of forces, and other situations. We can maximize our benefits by retreating here, said the Golden Crow demon Venerable, and avoid overstimulating those powerful human beings. These are all small matters, said the Kunpeng demon Venerable, expressing his concerns. It is hard to say whether Dangji Xianzhen can achieve the realm of refining emptiness after taking the questioning void pill, but there is a great chance that he will enter the realm of half-step refining emptiness. How can we resist at that time? The situation is worrying, said the Golden Crow demon Venerable. It is said that the East Sea Dragon clan is rising and fighting with the Divine Water Palace. In the battle, the Divine Water Palace was defeated. The remnants of the Divine Water Palace began to evacuate and go to Wu, Yu, Chu, etc. We can join forces with the East Sea Dragon clan, and both sides will attack Chu from the east and west. If we attack Chu, will Yu and Wu help? Said the Kunpeng demon Venerable with another concern. Impossible, said the Golden Crow demon Venerable. For the human race, hatred of heretics is better than aliens. Wu and Yu will not take action again. They will just watch from the sidelines. Chapter 465. The Demon Tribe Retreats. Life is a multiple choice question. When facing heretics and aliens, which one should be attacked first? Of course, heretics. Wu, Yu, Chu and other countries have always had conflicts. If it weren't for some factors, they would have fought each other long ago. But even so, the relationship between them would not be very good. If they ask for help from Wu and Yu, what price will they have to pay? Soon, many gods of the demon clan discussed and issued orders. Boom boom boom. With a violent sound, flames surged, and the flames of about 100 feet in radius bombarded the city wall. Another ice was condensing. In the humming sound in the void, endless cold currents condensed and turned into frost to freeze the city wall. Then, tens of thousands of flying swords condensed in the void, and thousands of swords flew together, bombarding the city wall with destructive force. Then, huge stones condensed and bombarded the city one after another. The battle broke out. Many demons gathered under the city wall, one after another, connecting with each other's ki, and urging large spells to bombard the city wall. At this moment, there was a grey light flashing on the city wall, and a white light flashed on the city wall, resisting most of the damage. Another flying sword slashed out, and the sword energy was like a tide. Another fire crow flew out, turning into a wave of flames and sweeping over. Standing on the city wall, human monks urged secret arts to bombard. In the city, many formations were in operation, and the whole city was like a wild beast half exploding with destructive power, bombarding. The destruction continued, and the two sides collided. Countless spells were annihilated, and countless spells were derived, and the explosion waves continued. There was a bursting sound in the void. In the city, many array masters walked around, repairing damaged arrays, and reinforcing some arrays. Some low-level monks walked around, transporting spiritual stones, elixirs, some large crossbows, and large destructive magic weapons. In the city, many monks performed their duties, and turned into a perfect whole. At the same time, the spiritual energy in the underground spiritual veins was constantly extracted and turned into an energy source to support the operation of the array. Boom boom boom. The battle broke out, and the two sides were fighting bloody. In the bloody fight, countless monks fell, and countless monks were injured. There were countless monks who stepped forward to replace them. With the advantage of the array, the human race suffered fewer casualties, while the demon race suffered huge losses. But the demon race gritted its teeth and attacked, not caring about the so-called casualties at all. Because the demon race is known for its terrifying fertility, a large number of little demons are born every year, one wave after another, and the number is extremely large. At the 3 levels of key refining monster beasts, foundation building monster beasts, and purple mansion monster beasts, the number of monsters is dozens or even hundreds of times that of humans. Only at the Jiandan level and Yuanying level, due to the confinement of blood, the number of monsters is relatively reduced. Because the monsters have too strong fertility and too many offspring, the monsters launch a beast tide almost every 100 years to consume the excess population. At this moment, under the command of the top monsters, those low-level monsters have urged secret techniques to attack the human city. The monsters suffered huge losses in the siege, but the monsters didn't care. The battle continued. After 3 days of continuous fighting, the monsters were a little tired, and many of them retreated. Looking at the monsters retreating like a tide, the human cultivators in the city breathed a sigh of relief. The demons have retreated. I don't know how long they can hold out. Kill 1 and we'll get back our investment. Kill 2 and we'll make a profit. At this point, there's nothing else to do but fight. On the city walls, many cultivators of the human race looked disappointed, with no hope of victory, and no chance of victory. But they still fought, just because they were unwilling to give up. The demons have finally retreated. On the city walls, Master Mou watched this scene, and breathed a sigh of relief. Father, how long can we hold out? At this moment, a woman in white clothes with dust on them, and a slightly embarrassed look asked. This woman was in the middle stage of the golden core, and she was Master Mou's only daughter Leaking Gaiu. Jua, the spiritual veins under the city are drying up, and they can only support it for 5 years at most. After 5 years, the city will fall. Mou's engine said, when that time comes, I will explode and die. I would rather explode than be eaten by the monsters. As for you, you should also explode. You are the descendant of Xianzhen. How can you surrender to the monsters? I understand. Leaking Gaia smiled. When that time comes, I will not embarrass Xianzhen. After the fierce battle until now, anyone can surrender, but they cannot surrender. Once a certain great cultivation country was captured by the monsters, all the Jiandan monks, Yuanying monks, etc. were killed. As for those ordinary people, key training monks, foundation building monks, purple mansion monks, etc., they were imprisoned in some secret realms and raised as livestock. After a certain period of time, the monsters will regularly enter the secret realm to harvest and kill the human strongmen. It's like entering a pig pen and regularly selecting some fat piglets, or even slaughtering them. At this moment, Master Mou frowned slightly. Father, what happened? Leaking Gaiu asked. The demons have retreated. Impossible. The demons can conquer this place in 5 years at most. How could they retreat? Leaking Gaiu said. Could it be that the demons have calculated this? Be cautious. Master Mou said, sending some low-level monks to investigate the situation. News came in one after another that the demons were retreating. It only took half a day to retreat thousands of miles away. Not only this group of demons, but also the demons in other directions have retreated one after another. They retreated very quickly, and they retreated from most areas in just 1 week. Many cities that were about to fall have survived after suffering hardships. Some demons refused to obey orders and refused to retreat. But soon, a palm fell from the sky, wiping out everything and destroying all things. A large number of demons were killed with one palm, including 3 demon Yuanying. Boom boom boom. Even with the continuous palms falling, 18 Yuanying monks were killed one after another, and the number of low-level monks who died was even greater. The human race was cheering and celebrating. The human race's incarnation returned and swept away the powerful enemies. According to the previous rules, the incarnation strongmen were not allowed to take action against low-level monks. On the one hand, it was a matter of face, and on the other hand, it was an unspoken rule. But it was not that the incarnation could not take action. The rules were to restrain the weak, not the strong. Not long ago, when the bloodbath demon Venerable took action, he had already broken the rules, and the human race's incarnation also began to break the rules. If you can do it on the first day, I can do it on the 15th. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466, Chudu, the Magic Mirror. The human race was cheering and celebrating. The demon race's morale was declining, the army was being defeated, and they were constantly retreating. The situation was improving. Not long after, Xuanji also heard the news and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Xuanji was also smiling, feeling relieved. The Chu state was safe. When the human race's gods returned, everything was safe and peaceful. Xuanji worriedly said, "The situation is a bit bad. Everyone is starting to break the rules. Next, if a god takes action and hunts down Yuanying cultivators, we will be in big trouble." In the past, whether it was the human race or the demon race, both sides fought bloody battles and fought continuously, but they still followed the rules. Low-level cultivators fought each other, intrigues and killings continued. They could fight in groups, plot, and use many cruel methods. They fought each other and accepted their fate, and higher-level cultivators were not allowed to intervene. It was like a giant cultivator whose son was killed by a Zifu cultivator. This giant cultivator was extremely angry, but he couldn't directly kill the Purple Mansion cultivator. He could only send a Purple Mansion Xuanji to kill him, or a group of Purple Mansion cultivators to surround and kill him. In the past, both the human race and the demon race followed the rules. No matter how hard the gods fought, no matter how bloody the battles were, they would not affect the Yuanying cultivators. Even if it was a godsend, if he was unhappy with the Yuanying cultivator, he would directly send the Yuanying to kill him instead of doing it himself. The gods can't bully the weak. The gods also have to follow the rules. Otherwise, if the gods don't follow the rules, continue to bully the weak, and sneak attack the Yuanying cultivators, the 999 layer Yuanying cultivators can't resist, and will be hunted. Maybe in a few years, both sides will become empty-handed commanders. Under mutual deterrence, both sides abide by the unspoken rules, and follow the rules. But with the action of the Bloodbat Demon Lord, the rules of both sides were broken, and both sides began to be shameless, and the situation began to deteriorate. The future of the Yuanying cultivator is a bit sad. We can only be careful. Xuanji said, worried. In the past, she had the Chaos Ancient Temple, and even if she was defeated by the Transformation God Cultivator, she could leave calmly. But King Lian took away the Chaos Ancient Temple, lost the protection of the Ancient Temple, and was in danger of being chased by the Transformation God. In trepidation, the two set out and went to Chudu. Walking on the road, many cities were devastated and dilapidated, and some low-level cultivators were active and were building their homes. From the ruins, they began to slowly recover. 3 days later, they finally arrived at Chudu. At this moment, the periphery of the capital of Chu was bumpy, with traces left by large-scale magic attacks. The surrounding terrain changed dramatically, the mountains and rivers changed, and the peaks turned into plains. After the war, the terrifying energy left behind was eroding the ground, and there was terrifying erosion. Outside the city, there were Jinden cultivators, Zifu cultivators, etc. who were cleaning up the radiation on the ground, cleaning up the energy debris, leveling the ground, and repairing the mountains and rivers. They were busy working. The imperial capital has relaxed control, and the city gates are open. The inspection is still going on to guard against the demon clan's traitors. In the city, some detection arrays are turned on, scanning all directions to see through everything. Entering the city, what you see is depression and decay, and white cells. Just a rough inquiry. Chudu, as the largest capital of Chu, is also the main city attacked by the demon clan. In order to conquer Chudu, the demon clan mobilized more than 200 Yuanying monks and tens of thousands of Jinden monks. As for other low-level monks, there are countless. Various attack magic weapons, various large magic weapons, etc. continuously bombarded the city wall, and the battle scene was extremely cruel. In the bloody battle, the city gate was broken several times. As for the monks who died in the battle, there are countless. At most, it will last for 20 years, and the capital of Chu will fall. At this point in the war, almost every family in Chudu was in mourning, and the cry echoed in the city. Not only was the battle loss huge, but there were also countless spiritual veins that were withered, spiritual stones were exhausted, magic weapons were damaged, and other materials were also lost. As the saying goes, a cannon is worth a lot of gold. The same is true for the world of immortal cultivation. With the continuous wars, the loss of material resources is huge, and the Chu state is in financial exhaustion. As for the pensions for the monks who died in the war, only a part of them can be given, and most of them cannot be fulfilled, because there are too many monks who died, and it is impossible to fulfill them. Just walking around, I felt constant crying and wailing. Dao Xuanji, are you still alive? At this time, a voice came. It was a woman's voice. Lu Xuanji looked at it intently, and saw a woman in white. He felt a little strange. After a careful recollection, he remembered that it was Kingan Zenran. But at this moment, her cultivation has gone a step further, and has reached the nascent soul stage. She should be called Kingan Zenjin. Congratulations, Dao, for entering the nascent soul realm. Lu Xuanji stepped forward and said, congratulations, Dao, you are safe. Kingan Zenjin said, my father invites you to go and have a chat. Dao, lead the way. This way. Under the leadership of Kingan Zenjin, they walked towards a tall building. Just getting close to here, I felt a series of obscure breaths in it. Many Yuanying Zenjins gathered here. When they walked to the bottom of the tall building, Fiyu Zenjin personally greeted them at the door and said directly, Dao is still alive. This is a blessing. Many Dao have perished in the calamity. Lucky luck. Lu Xuanji sighed. Dao, I'm sorry. Fiyu Zenjin said, in this battle, the demon race used some means, such as salvation, or possession, or puppetry, etc., to control the human Yuanying cultivators, causing huge losses to the human race. In order to make sure that Dao is not controlled, we need to check one or two. Lu Xuanji subconsciously took a step back and asked cautiously, the soul of a cultivator is an extremely important part of the human body. How can it be checked casually? Dao's reason is not enough. Cultivators attach great importance to privacy. When they reach the Yuanying stage, they all have secret existences, and will not allow cultivators to check their souls. If some cultivators have evil thoughts and use the inspection of the soul to plant restrictions, it will be a big trouble. Don't worry, fellow Daoist. Fiyu Zenjin said, I have a treasure called the Demon Mirror, which can see through the origin of cultivators. Do you dare to take a look? Sure. Lu Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Fiyu Zenjin stepped forward and took out a mirror with dragon and phoenix runes on it, shining it on Lu Xuanji's body with flashing light. Suddenly, the light on the mirror flashed and changed, and the shadow of Lu Xuanji's soul appeared. After observing for a while, Fiyu Zenjin said, fellow Daoist is still a human soul, and has not been possessed by the demons. There are no restrictions on your soul, and you are not controlled by the demons. Your soul breath is normal, and there is no sign of salvation. Fellow Daoist is safe. After putting away the mirror, Fiyu Zenjin also breathed a sigh of relief. Recently, he was also afraid. he found that many friends were either possessed by the demons or controlled by them. Chapter 467, Division of Power, New Pattern. Then, he checked Xuanji again and confirmed that it was correct. At the invitation of Master Fiu, the two entered the attic. Daoyao, have many Daoyao been found to have problems? Xuanji asked. Many, a lot. Master Fiu said, during this attack by the demons, many cultivators of the human race were successively possessed or controlled by the demons, becoming potential hidden dangers for the human race. 10 Yuanying cultivators alone were found. As for the lower level Jiandan cultivators, Zifu cultivators, etc., I don't know how many there are. The demon mirror is not omnipotent. Every time the demon mirror is activated, a certain amount of energy is consumed. I can only confirm that most of the Yuanying cultivators and a small number of Jiandan cultivators are fine, but I can't guarantee the others. In addition, the levels of some remote areas cannot be detected. If that Yuanying demon has a 6th grade spiritual treasure that happens to have a hidden attribute, it can also avoid the detection of the demon mirror. Master Fiu talked about the recent situation. The situation is not good, very bad. The attack of the demons brought a catastrophe to the human race. The Chu state is now devastated and in constant trouble. The demons retreated, but they only gathered their 5 fingers together and turned them into fists. The demons still occupy half of the territory of the Chu state. In some dangerous locations, they built cities and set up formations, as if they wanted to occupy it for a long time and not leave. The whole Chu state is clamoring to recover the lost land and half of the country. But only the top leaders know that the human race can no longer fight. After the war, the human race suffered heavy casualties and had no ability to go to war. Now, the main thing is to cultivate life and rest. When he arrived at the attic, Xuanji saw some nascent soul cultivators, some familiar ones, such as Demon Feather True Lord, Star True Lord, etc., and some unfamiliar nascent souls, who just nodded. He went forward to say hello, and the other nascent souls responded. Sitting in a certain position, Xuanji sat next to him. After another moment, some nascent soul cultivators gathered one after another. Soon, there were more than 30 Yuanying cultivators sitting here. Master Fiu said, Dear Daoists, congratulations to all of you for escaping death and surviving until now. Congratulations. Dear Daoists, the demons have retreated, but they have occupied half of the country of Chu. The situation is somewhat critical. Master Fiu said, there are also some Daoists who saw the turmoil in Chu and took the opportunity to flee. I don't want to say much. The situation is critical. Even if the 4 gods have returned, our situation still hasn't improved. Those seniors will take action, but we have to rely on ourselves. At this time, a burly man spoke. His blood and energy were like a real dragon. He was called Master Langsu. He asked, Seniors of the gods, are there any decrees coming? Yes. Master Fiu said, this is the decree of the heavenly venerable. As he spoke, he opened a yellow scroll. At the moment the yellow scroll was opened, a terrifying aura came suppressing them. Suddenly, the cultivators present felt a terrifying pressure suppressing their hearts. Under the pressure of this aura, many cultivators stood up and waited respectfully for the order. Buzz buzz buzz. At this moment, above the decree, 4 auras rose up and gathered into 4 phantoms, which were Dongji Xianzhen, Shengmeng Xianzhen, Haota Xianzhen, and Danliang Xianzhen. At this moment, the phantom spoke, and the person who spoke was Dongji Xianzhen. Dear fellow Taoists, for some reason, we encountered the calculation of the demon tribe's gods, which led to the fall of Chu and the death of most cultivators. I don't want to say anything here. Let the past be the past, and now it can only be like this. The 4 of us have to take action and confront the demon tribe's gods. It doesn't matter if we help you too much. You all have to rely on yourself. But I want to remind you that this disaster was indeed caused by the demon tribe, which caught us off guard. But it was also a disaster before the recovery of spiritual energy. The time for the recovery of spiritual energy is getting closer and closer. It may be 300 years later, or it may be 3 years later. The future situation will become chaotic and the future is difficult to predict. You should be careful. Whether you become a dragon or a snake in the future depends on you. As he said, the phantom dissipated, and the aura on the decree dissipated, and it turned into an ordinary yellow silk again. Everyone looked at this scene and was speechless. It seemed that a lot was said, but nothing was said. There were no specific policies, just 5 words you watch. Fellow Daoist Fiu, what do you think we should do? Asked the Demon Realm Master. Fellow Daoists, I won't say much about other things. Fiu said, after the fierce battle until now, the human race and the demon race can't continue to fight. The demon race won't fight, because they have reaped a lot, and need time to digest the spoils. We can't fight anymore either. We need to recuperate, and recover our vitality. The first priority now is to recuperate, and recover our vitality. Only by restoring the population can we have everything. The second is to establish some simple defensive offensives on the front line, to prevent the demon race from attacking. Many true lords nodded, and began to discuss the division of territory. With the attack of the demon race, the existing pattern on the human race's territory was broken, and the new pattern had not yet taken shape. So, they began to divide the territory, and determine each other's sphere of influence. Xuanwu County should belong to you. There is a large mineral vein here, it should belong to you. There is a large lake here, there are air water spirit stones, it should belong to you. You, why don't we exchange territory? You, I don't need territory, I just need population. I also lack population, just give me population, I can exchange resources for it. Soon, the meeting turned into a market. Many Yuanian cultivators began to quarrel. On the table, there was a map of Chu, on which there were population, cities, terrain, resource distribution, etc. Chu was like a large cake, and the Yuanian cultivators raised their knives, and began to cut the cake. You take a piece, I take a piece. There were the distribution of territory, the division of population, and the division of resources, and they began to quarrel. Those Yuanian cultivators with few clansmen focused on resources, those Yuanian cultivators with large families focused on territory, those Yuanian cultivators who were born as casual cultivators focused on population. The quarrel continued. About a month later, the division of territory was finally determined, and the pattern of each other began to take shape. In the division of power, the lower level Jiandan cultivators, Zifu cultivators, etc., had no say. The Yuanian cultivators spoke up, and their decisions determined the future of Chu and the direction of Chu's development. In the end, Xuanji occupied many territories, and had a huge sphere of influence, but the spiritual veins were scarce and the spiritual mines were insufficient. The so-called plains were mainly used to grow a lot of food, and were suitable for population reproduction. Chapter 468 Teleportation Array Blueprint. War is a reshuffle. Countless forces fell. Countless forces rose, and the cake was cruelly divided, dividing the sphere of influence. In the division of forces, they quarreled with each other, and became very harmonious after the quarrel. In the division of territory, the Lu family expanded its power to the southeast region on the basis of the original territory, bordering the state of Wu. In the jurisdiction, there are vast plains that can support a large population, many rivers pass through, and there are many lakes scattered. There are also many mountains scattered in it, with spiritual stones and some rare minerals. It's just that the reserves are much lower. As for the spiritual veins, most of them are exhausted. In the early days of the establishment of the state of Chu, there were natural spiritual veins, spiritual mountains, mines, etc. everywhere in the territory, and some spiritual medicines were everywhere. As long as the cultivators look carefully, they can find some natural spiritual veins, open caves on them, and turn them into a blessed place for cultivation. As long as they look carefully and dig mines, they can dig out spiritual stones, spiritual materials, etc. underground. But after thousands of years, after the mining and excavation of monks, the population increased, and the resource consumption was huge. Most of the original minerals, natural spiritual veins, and naturally grown spiritual medicines in the Chu state were mined out, and the remaining mineral veins were also difficult to dig. Today's Chu state can be said to be exhausted. The mineral veins and resources are exhausted. Fortunately, this is the world of cultivation. Cultivation is productivity. The more powerful the monks are, the more powerful their ability to transform the world is. Powerful monks can use their own cultivation to arrange formations and use the power of heaven and earth to create all things. They can also create artificial spiritual stones, artificial spiritual veins, artificial ores, etc. Up to now, in the territory of Chu, the 9-layer spiritual stones are artificial spiritual stones, the 7-layer spiritual veins are artificial spiritual veins, and many spiritual medicines are also artificially cultivated. As for the Xuanming divine iron, the divine iron of creation, the basalt stone, the sky-making stone, and many other refining materials, more than 3 layers are artificial. Up to now, the cultivation world has 7 layers of cultivation resources, and some items, etc., can all be artificially manufactured. It is just artificial manufacturing, which has the problem of high cost and high requirements for the cultivation of the cultivators. Of course, the biggest problem is that the cultivators do not have time. The world of immortal cultivation is not a money society. In the society of money and capital, everything is for the purpose of profit. In order to make money, everything is abandoned, and many products will be made to make profits. But in the world of immortal cultivation, cultivation is the most important. Many cultivators are busy practicing and improving their cultivation. Without cultivation, no matter how much money you have, you can't keep it. For example, a foundation building cultivator has wealth comparable to that of a golden elixir, but he doesn't know how to restrain himself and spends money lavishly everywhere. Maybe tomorrow a strong man will come to destroy the family. Looking at the map, the territory and sphere of influence divided by the Lu family, all the real lords present are very considerate and give him face. But while they are happy, they are also slightly worried. In the territory, spiritual veins are laid. A large amount of spiritual stones are spent to set up the heaven and earth formation and artificial spiritual materials, and golden elixir cultivators are encouraged to make artificial spiritual stones. There are also a large number of artificially planted spiritual medicines, artificially cultivated spiritual trees, etc., which require a large population and a large number of cultivators. It seems that there are policies to encourage population. Lu Xuanji thought, whether it is artificial spiritual stones, artificial spiritual materials, artificial spiritual veins, artificial spiritual medicines, etc., they all cannot be separated from people. Only with a large population can we develop and create. Otherwise, relying solely on high-level cultivators to create artificially, not only is the quantity insufficient, but the time is also insufficient. On the map, the major forces divided the territory, and everyone nodded. Next, it is the barter meeting. Everyone can exchange some resources on some precious items. Fiu Zhenjin said, put some items on the table, and say what you need to exchange. Some other Yuanying cultivators also put some things on the table. Soon, it entered the barter stage. Both sides began to enter the exchange stage, and exchanged some items. Lu Xuanji also took out a beast skin roll, a pill bottle, and some spiritual fruits, etc., placed them on the table, and started trading. In the previous life, money was not omnipotent. Money can't buy nuclear weapons or top technology. For example, if a country has top fighters, top aircraft carriers, or other high-tech defense, and a rich man says he will spend so much money to buy this top weapon, this advanced technology, etc., he will definitely fail. Many times, money cannot buy high technology. If you want to get a certain high technology, you can only exchange it with high technology of the same level. In the world of cultivating immortals, spiritual stones can buy a lot of things, but a few top things cannot be bought with money. Some items can only be exchanged. Observing the items on the scene, Lu Xuanji actually found some items that are beneficial to him. The teleportation array diagram has detailed techniques on it, recording how to arrange the teleportation array, which can teleport 30,000 kilometers at a time, and belongs to the short-range teleportation array. The Enlightenment Stone helps cultivators improve their understanding. The 5th grade Xuanming Iron can improve the grade of the Bushanding. Daoyao, how much is the teleportation array diagram? Lu Xuanji asked. This Taoist friend is called Xingchen Zhenjin. It can be 3 Yuanying pills, or 5 grade fortune fruit, or other medicinal materials. Xingqian's engine said, I'm already in the 6th level of Yuanying, and I have been stuck in this realm for a while. I need Tangling Pill to break through the bottleneck. Okay, I have 3 fortune fruits. Lu Xuanji said, taking 3 fortune fruits and handing them over. Dao is generous. Xingqian's engine said, and directly handed over the scroll. Lu Xuanji took the scroll and carefully analyzed the content. There were pictures, materials, and specific methods, etc. It was written in great detail, which could be said to be a step-by-step guide to setting up the teleportation array. After analyzing for a moment, it was confirmed to be correct. Xingqian's engine said, to set up a short-range teleportation array, the material requirements are low, and only 5th grade materials are enough. In terms of cultivation, as long as the nascent soul realm is enough. But to set up a medium-range teleportation array, 6th grade materials are needed, and the cultivation level must be at least the transformation god. As for the long-range teleportation array, which can be used for interstate transmission, many materials are needed, at least 7th grade materials are needed. I won't say more about these. I have 5th grade, Voidstone, Tei Divine Crystal, and Earth Spirit Mysterious Wood. Daoist friends, do you need these 3 materials? He promoted the drawings in front and the materials in the back, one ring after another. Yes. Lu Xuanji said, but I don't have any spirit stones. Do you think this will work? As he said that, he threw a gourd over. Xingqian's engine opened the gourd and looked at the spirit fruit inside with a hint of joy in his eyes. This is a 5th grade longevity fruit, which can extend the life of a cultivator by 500 years. Good. Xingqian's engine said, I need 3 longevity fruits. Not 3, only 2. 2 is 2. Just like that, the deal was quickly concluded. Xingqian's engine was delighted. He had expected that he would be satisfied if he could trade for 1 longevity fruit, but he never thought that he would trade for 2. Lu Xuanji was also very happy. He originally planned to trade for 3 longevity fruits, but he only needed 2. He made a small profit. Chapter 469, The Invasion of the East Sea Dragons. The transaction was completed. The 2 of them had no expression on the surface, but they were secretly happy in their hearts. Then, Lu Xuanji came to another position. This engine was a female cultivator named Lingbo's engine. Dao, how much is the Wu Dao tea? Lu Xuanji asked. 3 teals of Wu Dao tea require a 5th grade spiritual treasure, preferably a defensive one. Lingbo's engine said. This price is a bit expensive. Lu Xuanji asked. The price is a bit expensive, but I only have this little Wu Dao tea. Lingbo's engine said. Dao, I plan to plant Wu Dao tea trees. Are you willing to cut off a branch? Lu Xuanji asked. Lingbo's engine was silent for a long time and said, okay, but what price are you willing to pay? 100 top grade spiritual stones. Lu Xuanji said. 120 top grade spiritual stones. Okay. The transaction was completed. Then, he used the longevity fruit to buy the 5th grade Xuanming iron. At the same time, Jinzi also walked around and bought some items. About 3 days later, the transaction was over. Everyone dispersed. 10 days later, Lu Xuanji returned to the ancestral land of the Lu family again. Looking at the devastated and dilapidated scene, Lu Xuanji sighed in his heart, opened the cave bead, and released all the monks and mortals of the Lu family. He summoned many elders and arranged tasks. 3 days later, many elders of the Lu family left one after another, and began to organize monks, mortals, etc. to carry out post-disaster reconstruction. There were foundation building monks who activated the magic in the walls on the ground, rose from the ground. The houses and buildings inside took shape one after another. In just 1 month, a city of dozens of miles in size took shape. There were purple mansion monks who sowed seeds and activated the magic. Suddenly, countless spiritual medicines grew on the ground. Activated the magic again. Countless spiritual herbs and spiritual medicines grew out. These are only the lowest grade. Even the key refining monks despise the low grade, but large-scale planting can improve the water and soil environment and the spiritual environment. There were also purple palace monks who activated magic, and the ground suddenly sank, and a huge lake appeared, and then fish fry was sprinkled in it. There were also golden core monks who walked around, to plant Jade Emperor rice. Because their cultivation was high enough, the planting area was huge and wide, and there were also magic to ripen the spiritual rice. The ripened spiritual rice was not as good as the naturally grown spiritual rice in taste, and the nutritional content was also inferior, but it was better, in that it grew fast, and could be mass produced on a large scale. There were also monks walking around to clean up the energy radiation caused by the war, and to arrange boundary monuments. The monks of the Lu family quickly went out, and rebuilt very quickly. In less than 10 years, the damaged town began to recover. Countless babies were born, and the population increased on a large scale. In order to increase the number of babies awakening spiritual roots, a large number of Yanling pills were refined and started to be taken by babies. Yanling pills can give birth to spiritual roots in mortals. Although the probability is very low, only 1 in 1,000, it is also hope. Look at yourself. Are you born a European emperor or an Emirati? In the blink of an eye, 30 years passed. 30 years later, the population in the Lu family's territory was increasing. With the growth of countless newborns, the memory of the past disaster gradually dissipated, and many people subconsciously forgot the pain of the past. The originally ruined Chu state gradually regained a trace of vitality. On the Lingshan mountain, Xuanji activated the secret technique to arrange the teleportation array. At this moment, the array pattern has been carved, and it is only the last point to be completed. Just the last one. At this moment, Xuanji placed the top grade spiritual stones one by one in the array. With the 32 top grade spiritual stones embedded in the array, accompanied by a buzzing sound, the array was activated. Xuanji stepped into the teleportation array and disappeared after 3 breaths. When he appeared again, he was already in a hidden cave. Under his feet was the teleportation array. This cave was set up in the mountains, and the location was extremely secret, which could avoid the detection of some powerful people. I have a teleportation array 30,000 meters away from the Lu family, which can be used to escape at a critical moment. Xuanji analyzed the situation and calculated in his mind, but every time I open the teleportation array, I have to consume 32 top grade spirit stones, which is a bit expensive. Top grade spirit stones are strategic resources and are also extremely important for the transformation of the spirit. With the help of top grade spirit stones, they are used for cultivation, and the cultivation speed is particularly fast. With the help of top grade spirit stones, the 6th grade magic weapon can be activated to burst out violent combat power. After counting his pockets, he only had 500 top grade spirit stones. The number of top grade spirit stones was a little insufficient, and he had to use them sparingly. The teleportation array can only be used at critical moments. As for starting the teleportation array to transport things, on the one hand, the benefits are not enough, and it is not worth transporting. On the other hand, frequent use will also expose the location of the teleportation array and let the enemy destroy it. Leaving the teleportation array, Xuanji returned home. He just sat down and hadn't rested for a moment. Xuanji came here and said, "Oh no, something big is happening." Above the East China Sea, the Shenshu Palace and the East China Sea Dragon Palace are fighting. In the war, the Shenshu Palace was defeated, and countless strong men were eliminated. Only a few remnants led the cultivators to land in Wu, Chu, and Yu. These 3 countries have leased part of their territory to them for living. Before long, the strong men of the East China Sea Dragon Palace may threaten Chu, Yu, and Wu. Before long, a war will break out on the Eastern Front. The situation is somewhat critical, and our human race may be caught in siege on both the East and West fronts. Xuanji said, "The situation is like this, what else can we do? It's nothing more than a bloody battle." Xuanji said, "You should be careful too. Half of Chu's territory has not been recovered yet, and the Thin Line is about to fight the Dragon Clan again. This is wave after wave, and there is no chance to recuperate." Xuanji sighed. "I wonder what's going on in other places? Other places are also fighting." Xuanji said, "In the near future, the revival of spiritual energy will lead to an overall increase in the world's spiritual energy, and the overflow of Taurime. Many minerals, ancient relics, ancient caves, etc. will also appear one after another. Now grab a little more territory, and strive to fight for more resources at the moment of spiritual energy revival." Xuanji said, How did those seniors who have reached the state of transformation discuss it? I don't know. Xuanji said, we can only wait for the result. The world is getting more and more chaotic. Xuanji smiled bitterly. His ideal is very small, just wanting to farm and live a stable life, but why is it so difficult? Not long after, the sound of destruction came from the void. Above the East China Sea, the human race's transformation and the dragon race's transformation clashed with each other, and the two sides fought bloody. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji urged, golden light of the earth, and went to the battle site. The victory or defeat of the powerful gods determines the future situation. Just like in the previous life, the victory or defeat of the war is no longer determined by how many troops there are, how many planes there are, how many high-tech weapons there are, but by how many nuclear bombs there are. Only if there are enough nuclear warheads. Even if the conventional army loses 100 times, no one dares to attack a country with nuclear bombs. Similarly, the battle between Chu and the Dragon Palace in the East China Sea did not depend on how many cultivators there were on both sides, how many golden elixirs and primordial infants there were, or on strategy and tactics, but on the outcome of the battle between the two sides. Chapter 470, Battle of the East Sea, Punching Mountains and Rivers. A bloody battle continued above the East China Sea. Boom boom boom. The rays of destruction continued. 5 rays of light intertwined and collided with each other. The speed was too fast, and the spell attack was too fierce. The two sides were constantly moving, and the killing moves continued to bombard one after another. Within 1,000 miles, there were ripples of destruction and brutal energy turbulence. The tide of destruction usually followed one wave after another, and the fish in the sea avoided it from a distance, fearing that they would be affected. About 10,000 miles away, there were hundreds of monks standing, all in human form, but some had dragon horns on their heads, some had turtle shells on their backs, some had swords on their heads, some had crab claws in their hands, and some had human upper bodies and fish lower bodies. These monks were all strange and varied in form, but they all exuded the aura of the nascent soul. They stood in the void, looking into the distance, with a solemn expression. The victory or defeat of this battle depended on the top level. It was the battle of transformation, which determined the next battle. Dongji Xianzhen is really amazing. He fought 1 against 4 without losing the upper hand. Long Yuge said, the human race still has strong people. In the land of Chu alone, a half-step refining virtual strongman was born. If it was placed in other areas, it would be terrible. No wonder in the ancient times, because of the existence of the human race, all races were forced to become monsters. Dongji Xianzhen can't hold on for long. The monsters will fight against humans, humans will fight against dragons, humans will fight against barbarians, humans will fight against sea people, humans will fight against demons, and so on. The situation is so fierce that it is unstoppable. Gui Wuji sneered, our invasion of Chu, Wu, and Yu is an inevitable trend. The war between the two sides is inevitable, and no one can resist everything. If we win, we can take the opportunity to sweep across the East Wilderness and take the initiative. In the era of spiritual energy revival, it is not only about plundering resources, but also about occupying the destiny in the dark. This battle is inevitable. Yu Xuanji sneered, wait. When the 4 seniors solve the Dongji Xianzhen, it is time for us to take action. Everyone looked at each other, and a trace of murderous intent flashed in their eyes. At the same time, they passed the message to inform the sea tribes in the rear to prepare for a battle. Crash, crash. With the shock of the surge, many sea tribes lurking in the sea water waited. They were all powerful, waiting for an order to land on the coast and kill the human race. On the west front, countless mountains gathered together, one after another. On the mountains, there were some checkpoints scattered around, and a complete defense system was built, standing there. Just because these cities were just built, they were much inferior in terms of defense and formation setting. In the city, there were few cultivators, and they played a more vigilant role. In the west of the mountain range, tribes of demons gathered at the foot of the mountain, their auras like fire, as if countless demons would turn into a tide and flood the cities in the next moment. In the void, 3 auras flashed, like the sun, emitting a terrifying aura. They were the 3 great gods of the human race. On the other side, the 5 gods of the demon race also emitted a destructive aura and rushed over. Boom boom boom. The auras of both sides collided with each other, one after another, like a wave. The number of gods of the human race was insufficient, but they were not inferior in momentum. Both sides were confronting each other, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. The reason why they failed to fight for the time being was that the time was not right. Friend Xuanji, you have to hold on. Among the gods of the human race, Daniyang Xianzhen's mind flashed, and he felt a fierce battle on the East China Sea. Xuanji Xianzhen and the strong men of the East China Sea clashed with each other, fighting bloody battles and fighting together. If Xuanji Xianzhen died, the situation here would also deteriorate completely. Originally, after occupying half of Chu's territory, the demons were full and no longer wanted to fight with the human race. Just like a full tiger, it lost the desire to hunt and now lies on the ground to digest food. But when the strong men from the East China Sea attacked Chu, the demons also became restless. Swish. As the void flashed, Xuanji descended on the East China Sea. Some more human Yuanying appeared, about 30 or so, but none of them showed up and had no desire to talk, but watched the fierce battle in the void. That fierce battle would determine the future of Chu. Xuanji activated his eyes and looked at the place of battle, but it was blurry. They were moving too fast. His cultivation was too shallow, and he could not perceive the way they were fighting. Dongshanai. Xuanji activated an I-type magic weapon. This magic weapon absorbed mana and suddenly burst into endless light. Looking into the void, the endless light gradually dissipated, and the movements of both sides began to slow down, and the scene of the battle began to appear. As the phone was running, the battle scene slowed down countless times and appeared. In the battle, Xuanji Xianzhen was a burly man with an extremely domineering aura, like an unparalleled overlord. His punches and kicks were extremely powerful, and his fists could suppress mountains and rivers. At this moment, he was surrounded by 4 enemies, one of whom was a man with dragon horns on his head, one was a man with a tortoise shell, one was a swordsman fighting with 2 swords, and the other was a handsome boy. It's him, the Jade Dragon King. At this moment, Xuanji was slightly surprised and saw a familiar shadow. He only recognized one of the 4 great gods of the East Sea Dragon clan, and the man with dragon horns on his head was the Jade Dragon King. Who is it? At this moment, the Jade Dragon King felt a familiar breath. Just as he was about to find something, he heard a majestic voice. Is this all you sea people have? Too bad. Punched to suppress mountains and rivers. At this moment, Xuanji Xianzhen punched out and activated the Xuanji fist intention. Buzz buzz buzz. The void was flickering, and everything disappeared, except for the huge fist. It hit the body of the Jade Dragon King, and the Jade Dragon King's body exploded on the spot. The soul escaped and avoided the fatal blow. Xuanji Xianzhen hit again, and the handsome boy was beaten on the spot and vomited blood. His body fell into the sea, splashing water. Boom boom boom. The fist was urging, and the fist was about to explode, and the destructive force tore everything apart. One punch is eternal. One punch is immeasurable. One punch suppresses the past and the present. The void was exploding, and a punch hit the man with 2 swords, and the 2 swords broke, and the man retreated 100 miles away. Swish. Xuanji Xianzhen swung the 5th punch brilliantly, but the man with a tortoise shell turned into a stream of light and disappeared thousands of miles away. The speed was extremely fast. People say that tortoises are slow, but this one is not slow at all. Who dares to fight? Xuanji Xianzhen shouted. Swish. At this moment, the Jade Dragon King recondensed his body, but his blood and energy were weak, and there was fear on his face. The other 3 divine transformation cultivators also had solemn and fearful expressions. This Eastern Heavenly Venerable was too good at fighting. Chapter 471. Late Bloomer. Who dares to fight? At this moment, Xuanji Xianzhen asked again, with a strong breath, like a crossbow arrow ready to be shot at any time. The 5 gods of the East Sea lineage retreated one after another, with a trace of fear in their eyes. Xuanji Xianzhen looked at him indifferently, running his skills, absorbing spiritual energy, and recovering his magic power. Now I give you 2 choices. One is to withdraw from the state of Chu, and the other is that I will kill you. Xuanji Xianzhen said murderously. 1, 2 before he could say 3. Suddenly, a stream of light flashed, and the four gods disappeared. Dongji Xianzhen looked at this scene and was relieved. Turned into a stream of light and disappeared. The human race was cheering, but the sea race was sad. The sea race failed. Although the sea race still had reinforcement and could mobilize some big guys, they failed at the beginning. In despair, many sea races retreated and evacuated directly. When they were 100,000 miles away from the East China Sea, they stopped. In the flash of his figure, Dongji Xianzhen disappeared. Just a moment later, he returned to Dongji Peak. When he entered the cave, he immediately activated the mountain protection formation. Suddenly, the formation on the mountain started to operate. Ripples appeared in the void, like water rippling, and continued to spread to the surrounding area of 100 miles. The void formation pattern was activated, as if a wild beast was awakening. The Nine Heavens demon killing formation has been activated. With the activation of the formation, countless spirit stones were consumed at this time, turning into the power source of the formation. At the same time, with the operation of the formation, the underground spiritual energy was madly extracted and turned into the support of the formation. At this time, the power of the formation was activated to the strongest. If a strong man of the transformation spirit broke into it, he would be seriously injured or even fall. At the level of transformation spirit, it is difficult for a cultivator to be killed, but the premise is to be cautious and careful. Once the situation is not good, run away in time. If you rashly break into the formation and fall into a desperate situation, you will also fall. Puff. In the cave, just sitting for a moment, Dongji Xianzhen vomited blood from his mouth and his breath was weak. The originally powerful aura faded like a tide. At this moment, there were four forces on the body, namely, the mysterious magic power, the dragon god magic power, the dream magic power, and the corrosive magic power, which were eroding the flesh and blood, absorbing the source of life, and the blood and ki were constantly falling. He took out a healing pill and swallowed it, and then practiced the exercises to forcibly suppress the injury. The East Sea god is so powerful. Dongji Xianzhen sighed. Such an injury requires at least 30 years of recuperation. This is all I can do for the state of Chu. He closed his eyes and practiced the exercises again to heal his wounds. Ahem. As his figure flashed, the four gods including the Jade Dragon King disappeared. Retreat 100,000 miles in a row. At this time, the Jade Dragon King said, I sensed for a moment that Dongji Xianzhen was injured. If we take the opportunity to attack again, we may be able to surround and kill him. However, the Black Tortoise King said, not appropriate. What if Dongji deliberately cheats and deliberately shows weakness to lure us into the trap? What should we do then? Old turtle, you are timid and afraid of death. The Jade Dragon King scolded. Haha. The Black Tortoise King was not angry either. He laughed and said, I'm an old turtle, but I'm timid and afraid of death. But ask the cultivators in the world, who is not afraid of death? If not afraid of death, why do you still cultivate immortals? Believe it or not, if you fall into the calculation of Dongji Xianzhen, you may all die, but I'm still alive. The Jade Dragon King was speechless. In terms of combat effectiveness, the Black Tortoise King can only be said to be average, but in terms of life-saving ability, it is top-notch. The Double Sword King said, let's retreat. Even if Dongji Xianzhen is injured, if we want to kill him, we will have to lose a Shenhe, or even two. It's not worth it. Let's retreat. Yeah. Silver Shark King said, dear Taoists, the next thing should be left to the younger generation to fight. We should stay in the rear and stabilize everything. It is not worth it to have a large-scale bloody battle with the human race now. Even if we capture the East Wilderness, in Zhongzhou, Nanling, Bihuang, Zhejiang, the distant Zhuzhou, and other places, there will be human beings taking action. The first bird to stick its head out will be shot. If it sticks out too much, and attracts the siege of human race strongmen, it will be a tragedy. The human race has a profound foundation in many strong men. Once, a strong man of Hedao died in my East China Sea lineage. We still have to control the rhythm of the war. Xuan Wuking said, no matter how strong the human race is, let those Yuanying juniors go and fight. We still don't take action. Other kings also spoke up, with a clear attitude. They could fight, but the younger generation should go first. The Jade Dragon King watched this scene and he was furious, but he could do nothing about it. These divine transformation kings were just dawdling, but as long as they were not clearly divided, they could only endure it. It was impossible to kill all the cultivators with different opinions just because of disagreements. Otherwise the East China Sea lineage would have split long ago. Don't think about fighting a war with the human race. Killing your own people is enough to have fun for a while. The East China Sea King disappeared in a flash. In a flash, he returned to the Dragon King Palace. The Crystal Palace, located in the seabed, looked gorgeous and elegant. In the palace, there were graceful beauties walking in it. There were also guards in golden armor walking back and forth, patrolling. The Jade Dragon King walked in the palace, and after walking for a long time, he reached the depths of the palace and finally came to a coffin. The coffin was made of black sacred wood, deep and dark, with a trace of golden texture on it, and there was a dead air in the air. Greetings, ancestor. Just then, the Jade Dragon King stepped forward and said respectfully, "What happened?" Just then, a voice came from the coffin, as if it had not spoken for a long time, and it stuttered and spoke incoherently. "Senior, I met a strong enemy in the East China Sea. That strong enemy is called Dongji. Even if the four of us join forces, we are no match for him." The Jade Dragon King said, "I beg the ancestor to take action to suppress Dongji and sweep across the East Wasteland." Dongji, this is the descendant of that person, but is it the descendant of the White Bone Taoist, or the descendant of the Hehuan Vein, or the descendant of the Xiang Taoist? The old voice in the coffin asked. The object of the inquiry was the famous strong men of that era, the White Bone Taoist, the Hehuan Demon Lord, and the Xiang Taoist. These three people were also strong men of the East Wasteland lineage. Not only in the East Wasteland, but also in the Purple Mansion realm, they were also famous peerless strongmen. The East Wasteland encountered an accident, and the Hehuan Demon sect was wiped out long ago. There is still the Hehuan Demon sect in New State, and it seems that it has obtained some incomplete Taoist traditions. The White Bone Demon sect was also wiped out, and there are only a few White Bone Taoist masters, but the strongest is only at the nascent soul stage. As for the Xiang sect, it disappeared without any successors and dissipated. The Jade Dragon King said, as for the Taoist Dongji, he is not the successor of any cultivator. Legend has it that the Taoist Dongji was born into a Chindan family, and when he was 6 years old, he had no spiritual roots. He spent more than 10 years in the mortal world, and was just a mortal warrior. When he was in his 30s, his father bought him a yanling fruit. After Dongji took the spiritual fruit, he became a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots. His aptitude is average, and his cultivation speed is extremely slow. In the realms of key refining, foundation building, and golden core, he barely broke through before his lifespan was exhausted. His aptitude, comprehension, and opportunities are all average. It was not until he reached the nascent soul stage that he came to the fore. But at that time, among the nascent soul cultivators, Dongji was not that outstanding. His cultivation speed was not fast, but rather average. His combat power was just average, not particularly strong. As for opportunities, he did not make many achievements. Most of the geniuses passed away later, but he, who was inconspicuous, broke through the shackles, and entered the God transformation. His life can be described as a late bloomer. Chapter 472, killing 5 Yuanyings in a row. The Jade Dragon King spoke, telling the story of Dongji Xianzhen. Before the fierce battle, he collected a lot of information, and told it in detail. How can there be mediocre people among the gods? They are just great ingenuity and great wisdom. The old voice in the coffin said, it seems that the luck of the human race is still there. Well, you act according to the circumstances. I can't wake up now, and I still need some opportunities. You can handle the things outside. The Jade Dragon King stepped forward and said, Senior, we can't beat the Taoist Dongji. As for the other gods, some are attacking the Wu Kingdom, some are attacking the Yu Kingdom, some are suppressing some secret realms, some are still practicing in seclusion, some are recovering from injuries, and some are sleeping. I ask the senior to take action and kill the Taoist Dongji. As he said, he stepped forward and spoke very respectfully. In the East Wilderness, I felt the breath of the White Bone Taoist. If I take action, he will also take action. Besides, the spiritual energy has not yet revived, and the world laws have not yet become active. If I come out early, something ominous will happen. The old voice in the coffin said. You decide. As he said that, a strong force pushed the Jade Dragon King out. The Jade Dragon King had 1,000 words to say, but he was helpless. He just left helplessly, and then dispatched troops, and sent the nascent soul cultivators to lead the army to attack the human area. As for the powerful gods, they just watched from the sidelines. Above the sea, the MOU's engine appeared in the void. On the palm of his hand, a decree appeared. At this moment, more than 20's engine appeared in the void. MOU's engine said, "This is the decree left to me by Dongji Xianzhen. The powerful spirit masters have stopped fighting, but the Yuanying masters will attack soon. We must be careful. We can't retreat from this battle. If we retreat, the east and the west will be attacked, and the human race will be besieged by the east and the west, and fall into a desperate situation. The only way is to take the lead, and give the Sea Clan a fatal blow." Okay. Many's engine nodded together. Boom boom boom. At this moment, accompanied by endless waves, monsters are charging in the waves. Their bodies are huge, like hills, rushing to kill. There are nearly 100 Yuanying cultivators and tens of thousands of Jiandan cultivators, following closely behind, rushing to kill. This is to make a concerted effort, to cut a piece of meat on the territory of Chu. Kill. At this moment, MOU's engine took the lead in bombarding. Other Yuanying cultivators also followed closely, and rushed to kill. Xuanji also flashed his footsteps, and rushed to kill the Sea Clan. At this point, there is no possibility of retreat. We are fighting for living space, and fighting to stay alive. As for leaving Chu, and immigrating to other countries, it is impossible to be safe at that time. At this point, Yu is fighting, Wu is also fighting, and many places are fighting bloody battles. The situation is not good. Boom boom boom. The distance is getting closer, and the two sides are fighting bloody. In an instant, both sides attack and spells are blasted out. The body shape is changing, moving quickly, and the scale of the battlefield begins to expand. The situation becomes tragic. Because the Sea Clan has a large number of Yuanying cultivators, it is a situation of fighting with more people at the beginning. Suddenly, 5 Yuanying cultivators besieged Xuanji. The situation is deteriorating. 9 changes of fish and dragon. Xuanji activated the secret technique and immediately evolved into 5 clones. The clones activated spells to attack and kill, and the two sides fought together. Xuanji's main body activated his magical power. The two energies of yin and yang flowed. The power of the 5 element was born and destroyed. The power of the stars was running. The power of time was condensing. The power of the magnetism was surging, and it was also gathering the power of extinction. Many energies gathered together and evolved into a divine sword. The divine sword flashed with 9-color light, and there was an explosive power of destruction on it. After reaching the 5th level of the nascent soul, with the improvement of cultivation, the control power increased. The time consumption of this supreme magical power is decreasing, the explosive power is increasing, and the duration is also increasing. It is no longer like the past, with a long pre-swing time and a wave flow. Bang! After just 3 breaths, the divine sword was condensed. At this time, accompanied by a violent sound, the 5 clones perished one after another. Take my sword. Xuanji stepped forward and stepped into the void. The void was buzzing like a drum, and the long sword was like snow, slashing down. The nascent soul true lord activated a long spear, and the long spear turned into a sky full of starlight, and came to kill. Bang! The two sides collided. The spear was cut into 2 pieces. Then, the knife light fell, like a flash of lightning in the void. The Yuanying's engine was split into 2 pieces on the spot. The Yuanying was about to escape, but was hit by the long knife again, and returned to the abyss. 3 knives killed the Yuanying. Kill. At this moment, Xuanji targeted another Yuanying. The Yuanying was a little panicked and immediately activated his life magic weapon. A huge tortoise shell appeared and blocked the front. Swish. The knife light flashed, and the tortoise shell broke into 2 halves. The body of the Yuanying monk was also cut into 2 pieces. The knife light continued to kill, and when it was about to annihilate the Yuanying, a light flashed and fled. A knife was chopped out, but it was split into the air on the spot. Come again. At this moment, Lu Xuanji's body was slightly weak, and he felt that his mana was greatly depleted. He activated the Bushanding, and the lost mana was replenished in time, and his weak body quickly recovered to its peak state. Bang! At this time, the remaining 3 Yuanyings joined forces to attack. A Yuanying cultivator held an axe in his hand, and chopped it down in the air. Swish! Just as it was about to chop Lu Xuanji's head, 5 pure Yang immortal auras rose up, and white gold light came one after another, making a clanging sound. In the violent collision, the axe was forcibly broken open. Swish! The knife light flashed again, and this Yuanying demon cultivator was cut into 2 on the spot. The Yuanying turned into a ray of light, and was about to escape, but was sealed in it by a scroll. The remaining 2 Yuanyings flashed and fled. Lu Xuanji's footsteps flashed and continued to chase. Swish! 2 more knife lights flashed, and the 2 Yuanyings' bodies were shattered. The scroll rolled up, and the 2 Yuanyings were taken away immediately. Good boy, you are ruthless, you are worthy of being a peerless genius. On the battlefield, MOU Xuanji activated his secret technique and killed continuously, but he was slightly inferior to the 3 Yuanyings engine. At this moment, he saw Lu Xuanji showing his divine power and killing, and he couldn't help but feel happy. Hey, the peerless genius of the human race. At this moment, Long Yuge waved his hand to kill the human Yuanying, but he saw this scene. He was slightly surprised, and at the same time, a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. His hero is my enemy. Such a human genius must be killed. Between the steps flashing, a palm chopped down, and the fist was like a tide. At this moment, Lu Xuanji felt the danger, urged the long sword, and chopped up. Bang bang. The fist and the long sword collided with each other. The dragon woman did not move, but Lu Xuanji's footsteps shook and he took 10 steps back. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473 Princess Yulang. Since the battle, this was the first time that Lu Xuanji was repelled, and the first time he was at a disadvantage. He was slightly surprised. This enemy was a bit tricky. The dragon girl put her right hand behind her palm trembling slightly. Her palm had been cut by the blade, and blood was dripping. The knife chopped down, and her palm was numb, almost cut off. This human cultivator was very powerful, a little outrageous. But the stronger he was, the more he wanted to be killed. You are very powerful, but it is precisely because you are powerful that you must die. The dragon girl said. Jade Dragon True Body. Activating the dragon's innate magical power, the whole body suddenly changed dramatically, as if it was forged from white jade. Along with the changes in the body, the defense power was greatly improved, the attack power was also improved, and even the speed was improved by a level, but the mana was also consumed drastically. Whoosh! At this moment, Long Yuge's body was changing, turning into a half-human dragon form, with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a dragon, holding a halberd in his hand. As the body turned into a dragon, it echoed with the sea. The power of the sea was added to the body, and the dragon borrowed the power of the sea, and the aura on the body was increasing. The original body turned into Jade and Dragon, which caused a lot of intense load, was also reduced. Kill. Princess Yulang shook the halberd, and her magic power in wild. The halberd chopped down horizontally, as if a mountain was condensed in the void, and it was suppressed with a majestic weight. Lu Xuanji's eyebrows were shaking, and he felt a little pressure. On his palm, a big axe appeared, which was the Xuanji axe. But the axe was urged, and the axe, which was only 3 feet long, was getting bigger, and turned into 100 feet in size, so that it could be killed. Bang bang. The 2 heavy weapons collided with each other, and under the violent collision, the void burst, and the harsh explosion sound swept all around, and the scattered energy spread to dozens of miles. Suddenly, many nascent soul cultivators who were fighting were shocked, and evacuated one after another to avoid being affected by the war. Boom boom boom. What a great strength. Princess Yulang was slightly shocked. The dragon race is naturally strong, and the Yulang race is famous for its great strength. Only a few special races can match it. but the strength of the human in front of her was so great that it almost subverted her imagination. At the moment of shock, Princess Yulong's eyes flashed with excitement, and she urged the halberd to suppress it, one halberd after another, continuously, as if the waves were surging, as if the endless tide was sweeping and suppressing it. Lu Xuanji's face did not change, and he urged the pure Yang Dao body. Platinum light flashed on the Dao body, and 5 immortal lights were rising and changing on the body. The axe in his hand flashed continuously and chopped down. The body was moving quickly, changing from different directions, looking for the enemy's flaws. But Princess Yulong was like a reef in the sea, motionless as a mountain. The continuous attacks not only did not do anything to her, but her aura became stronger and stronger. The Jade Dragon bloodline awakened in the battle, and she had a stronger aura as the battle went on. After fighting for dozens of moves, and going through the initial warm-up, Princess Yulong's aura reached its peak. First move, 100 dragons dancing together. The halberd was shaking, and it instantly changed into hundreds of phantoms, and each phantom turned into a dragon during the change. Countless dragons roared out, and attacked Lu Xuanji. Each dragon was comparable to the early stage of the nascent soul in terms of attack power. Hundreds of dragons attacked, and even the peak of the nascent soul would be destroyed on the spot. Yin and Yang are born and destroyed. At this moment, the axe in Lu Xuanji's hand disappeared, and the yin and yang on his palm were born and destroyed, turning into a huge Sekai diagram, which kept rotating and swallowing. Bang bang. The dragons hit the Sekai diagram, and were constantly strangled by the surging yin and yang, and were constantly melted into their bodies, and turned into their own nutrients. The second move, the two worlds are inseparable. At this moment, Princess Yulong used the halberd to disappear. It seemed that she disappeared into the two worlds, and disappeared into the reality of everyone. When she reappeared in an instant, she was already above Lu Xuanji's head, and waved her hand to play the third move, Yin Yang Purgatory. Boom boom boom. The halberd chopped down, and suddenly the yin and yang energy on the halberd was born and destroyed, but it was running counterclockwise, swallowing the yin and yang energy on Lu Xuanji's body. Lu Xuanji used the secret technique to resist and block the spirit in spirit on his body, but the yin and yang energy on his body was like a flood that broke through the dam, pouring into it. In just 3 breaths, the magic on his body consumed as much as 5 layers. The 8th move, the return of impermanence to the abyss. The Jade Dragon King chopped down with another halberd, and the void was imprisoned under this halberd. Lu Xuanji wanted to break through and escape, but it was too late. He could only withstand this attack. Boom boom boom. The huge force hit Lu Xuanji's internal organs and trembled violently, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He didn't have time to react, and was hit by a halberd into the sea. Plop. When he fell into the sea, Lu Xuanji was about to activate the secret technique and jump out of the sea. But at this moment, the originally rigid seawater became agile in an instant, and endless seawater squeezed in. The spiritual energy in the seawater was imprisoned, and he couldn't absorb the spiritual energy. At this moment, Princess Yulong also entered the sea and activated the power of the seawater to suppress it. The combat power of Long Ruhei, which was originally 10 levels, was forcibly increased to 15 levels. On the contrary, in the sea, Lu Xuanji was restricted. The pure Yang True Fire could not be used. The power of the sword technique decreased, and various secret killing moves were also restricted. Die. Princess Yulong activated the secret technique and stabbed out with the halberd. In the seawater, with the blessing of the terrain, this move was even more powerful. Attain True Water Blade. At this moment, Lu Xuanji's aura was changing, and the long sword with blue light slashed out. Wherever the long sword went, everything was frozen. Swish. Snap. Snap. Then, the halberd was frozen, and Princess Yulong was also frozen. Bang. Lu Xuanji shouted, and the harmless ice broke. But as the ice broke, Princess Yulong also vomited blood. Cut. At this moment, the 9-colored divine sword flashed and slashed at Princess Yulong's body, but it felt like it was blocked and difficult to break through. Lu Xuanji gritted his teeth and sacrificed the 9-colored divine sword with pure Yang True blood. The 9-colored divine sword broke through Yulong's true body on the spot, and the destructive energy tore through her body. Swish. At this moment, Princess Yulong activated the secret technique and escaped. But the next moment, the scroll fell, and it rolled up on the spot, sealing her in it. In the blink of an eye, Xuanji was on the sea again. In the fierce battle between the two sides, most of the human Yuanying were fighting 1 against 2, 1 against 3, or even 1 against 4, and were trapped in the siege of the Sea Clan Yuanying. Many Jinden monks formed formations around them to block the escape route of the human Yuanying monks. Although the human race was at a disadvantage, they had rich combat experience and strong combat effectiveness. They were defeated but not dead, and the two sides were entangled. The human race and the demon race have been fighting for hundreds of years. In the battle, the human race suffered huge losses and countless deaths, but those who survived were all experienced, powerful, and profound. Because those who could not do these 3 things had died in the disaster. But the Sea Clan had been at peace for a long time, and their combat effectiveness was relatively inferior, insufficient, and lacked combat experience. Even though they were outnumbered, the number of Yuanying monks was 4 times that of the human race, but there was no one-sidedness in the battle, but instead they were in a stalemate. Chapter 474, Defeat the Sea Tribe. Looking at the two sides fighting, Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he urged, Golden Light of the Earth, to pounce on a Yuanying cultivator, and the 9-colored divine sword in his hand chopped down 1 or 2 sections. The Sea Clan Yuanying was killed on the spot. With his footsteps flashing, he urged, Golden Light of the Earth, to pounce on another Sea Clan Yuanying. Move quickly on the battlefield. Don't fight a stalemate, just fight a quick battle. When you meet an enemy, don't get too entangled, just kill him with 1 sword. If it's difficult to kill, then attack the relatively weak enemy. The great man in the previous life said that you should fight an annihilation war, not a rout. It's better to annihilate an enemy regiment in battle than to rout an enemy division. When he arrived at the battlefield of the Xuanji world, when fighting with the enemy, Xuanji also pursued the number of enemies killed, rather than seriously injuring the enemy. It's better to kill 1 enemy than to seriously injure 10 enemies. Swish. The footsteps were flashing, Xuanji was moving quickly, and the long sword flashed, and kept killing strong enemies. Another Yuanying fell. The continuous movement was extremely fast. In just a dozen breaths, 12 nascent soul cultivators fell. Suddenly, the Sea Clan cultivators scattered around gathered together, and their killing moves fell out, attacking Xuanji. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by dense spell attacks, about a dozen spells bombarded Xuanji's body. The immortal divine ring on his body was broken one after another, and Xuanji also vomited blood from his mouth, and his breath was weak. Don't run away. Daoyao, I'm coming. Kill. At this moment, other nascent soul cultivators of the human race also urged their secret arts to attack and kill. 3 more nascent soul cultivators' bodies were destroyed, and the nascent souls fled in panic. Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and the long sword chopped down. This time it was no longer a nascent soul cultivator, but a golden core cultivator. The destructive sword light flashed, and accompanied by the destructive force, it blasted out, and 12 golden cores were killed on the spot. At this moment, a long sword stabbed at his descendants. Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he activated the dragonfly divine form to avoid the fatal blow in the nick of time. However, he ignored the attack from behind and moved forward, and slashed at the Jinden cultivators of the Sea Clan with his sword. Those Jinden cultivators of the Sea Clan were terrified, and they used their magical powers to connect their ki with each other, and condensed a shield in the void. The runes on the shield were flashing, and there were 3 colors of gold, white and black mixed together, blocking the front. Boom boom boom. Xuanji's long sword slashed down, slashing on the shield. The shield broke in the shaking, but it also withstood most of the force. Swish. Another fast movement, the long sword slashed down, fast and fierce. However, after the initial panic, the Jinden cultivators of the Sea Clan quickly gathered together, and a single Jinden cultivator was slashed to death by him with one move after another, like chopping vegetables and melons. But the magic power of dozens of Jinden monks, or even hundreds of Jinden monks, gathered together and condensed into a 3-color shield to block the front. Xuanji chopped and killed 7 or 8 times in a row, but it was also in vain. Swish. At this moment, a big bell appeared on Xuanji's palm. This is the awakening bell. Ding ding. The bell rang, and the endless sound killing power turned into water waves and swept over, attacking the giant and monks present. Not good. The giant and monks present all activated their secret arts to resist. But as the bell rang, the giant and monks' souls were shattered one by one, and they died on the spot. Ding ding. Xuanji shook the awakening bell again, launching a soul attack on the giant and monks present. The sound wave power came one after another, like a tide, attacking the giant and monks of the Sea Clan, and countless giant and monks' souls were shattered and died on the spot. The bell rang continuously, and every time it rang, a Sea Clan's giant and was destroyed. Seeing the death of large numbers of giant and monks, the Sea Clan's Yuanying monks shouted and attacked. But Xuanji's expression remained unchanged, and he rang the bell, turning into endless death. Since ancient times, it is easy to start a war, but it is difficult to end it. The Sea Clan has the final say in starting a war, but I have the final say in ending it. If you don't fight, it's fine. Once you fight, you will kill the enemy, and make them tremble with fear. Awakening Bell, as a group attack magic weapon, it can be said to be a weapon for bullying. It has limited lethality to Yuanying monks and even monks in the late Giant stage, but for low-level monks, it can kill a large number of them, which can be called a supreme killing weapon. Just the bell rang 9 times, and more than 1,000 Giant monks died, although most of them were in the early Giant stage. Only a few were in the middle Giant stage, and there was no one in the late Giant stage. But after all, they were Giant monks. Don't look at it. There are more than 10,000 giant and monks of the Sea Clan participating in the battle. It gives people a feeling that giant and monks are everywhere, as if giant and monks are worthless. But this is just an illusion. It's like hundreds of thousands of people graduate from famous universities every year, but this doesn't mean that graduates from famous universities are worthless. Every giant and monk is a high-level monk of the Sea Clan, an elite among the elites, and they all hold great power. But now they are like wheat that has been cut down, falling in pieces, and dying like feathers, which is very worthless. Retreat quickly, retreat quickly. At this time, the Yuanying monks of the Sea Clan were organizing a retreat. Many surviving giant and monks retreated in fear, with expressions of panic and fear. Kill. Xuanji chased and killed him, and other Yuanying monks also chased and killed him. The so-called retreat soon turned into a rout. The Sea Clan was defeated. Countless giant and monks died, and Yuanying monks were killed. Until the end, they evacuated to an island, and the formation rose up, and then the human race stopped chasing. But counting the number, in this battle, 38 Yuanying monks of the Sea Clan died, and as for the death of thousands of giant and monks, it can be said that they were defeated. And the human race had 32 Yuanying monks who participated in the battle. All of them were injured, but only 3 Yuanying monks died. The human race won a great victory. The morale of the Sea Clan was low. Everyone evacuated. When they reached the coast, many Yuanying monks laughed loudly, and their expressions were happy. Until now, the fierce battle with the Demon Clan and the Sea Clan, the human race has felt aggrieved. But after experiencing this battle, everyone is in a good mood. Why do you cultivate immortality? Of course, it is for immortality and to gain powerful strength, but it is also for living happily and freely. If a cultivator lives in frustration, in discomfort, being bullied everywhere, being suppressed everywhere, having a bad life, feeling unhappy and depressed, then the road to immortality is long. But in this battle, the Sea Clan was defeated, and the human race was proud. It's a pity that the 3 Taoist friends Lihuo, Xuanji and Xiaoming have fallen. At this time, a Yuanying cultivator said with a sad expression. Mou Zhenjian smiled and said, "Born as a man, I don't ask for immortality, but I ask for a proper death." Chapter 475, Fighting with Wisdom and Courage, Not Fighting with Anger. Speaking of the moment of death, Master Mou said, "My talent is limited. The 9th level of the nascent soul is my limit. The probability of entering the God transformation is almost hopeless. I don't have much hope for the God transformation. I have less than 500 years left. I just want to fight for a place to survive for future generations." Yes, it's good if 1 out of 100 nascent soul cultivators can enter the God transformation. Everyone sighed in their hearts as they talked about the future. Many cultivators rely more on luck to get to where they are now. If they were to start over again, they might not be able to get to where they are now. The sea tribe will come again. Let's build a city and set up a formation, Master Mou said. As he spoke, everyone began to act. Under the urging of magic, cities rose from the ground one by one, and then formations began to be laid around them, and fortresses began to take shape one by one. Many formations were linked together to form a terrifying killing formation. In just 3 days, the formation was initially formed. Sitting in the city, operating the formation was activated and evolved into the supreme killing formation. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief, took out the picture of a solitary boat and a straw hat, and threw the sealed nascent soul inside into the alchemy furnace, and began to refine the nascent soul pill. War is indeed the best time to make a fortune. Hey, Princess Yulong actually ran away. Counting the pills, Xuanji suddenly found that something seemed to be missing. After a careful count, he found that Princess Yulong actually escaped. On an island in the East China Sea, the void was shattered, and the next moment a woman appeared. She was covered in blood and her breath was even more sluggish. He took out the pills and took them. After about a moment, all the injuries on his body were healed. Xuanji. A murderous look flashed in Long Yuji's eyes. He was almost killed by the refining just now. One nascent soul after another was thrown into the alchemy furnace, and was directly killed by the pure yang true fire, and turned into nascent soul pills. If it weren't for the 6th grade escape talisman, he would have been killed in the alchemy furnace at this moment, and turned into ashes. This person is cruel and merciless. He activated the escape technique and disappeared. About 3 days later, he arrived at an island. At this moment, a terrifying aura came to him. Long Yuji did not resist, and let it come. The next moment, he appeared in the palace. In the palace, a man with dragon horns in white clothes sat on the bed, meditating and practicing. At this time, he opened his eyes and said, "You are back. The child is back." Long Yuji said, "It's good to be back." The Jade Dragon King said without any extra expression. Long Yuji knelt down and apologized. "The child is incompetent and lost to the human race Xuanji. If you lose, you lose. I also lost to Danji." The Jade Dragon King said, "I lost, and you lost too. On the battlefield, we still have hundreds of Yuanying cultivators and tens of thousands of Jinden cultivators, but the human race on the opposite side has only more than 30 Yuanying. But in the end of the fierce battle, it was my sea race that was defeated, and fled in panic." As he said, the Jade Dragon King pointed his finger and a picture appeared. In the picture, there was a scene of the human race chasing and killing, and the sea race being defeated. More people does not necessarily mean victory, but daring to fight can increase the chances of winning. In the battle, the Yuanying of the human race fought fiercely, looking like they didn't care about their lives, but the sea race was timid and fearful. When they saw the situation was not good, they immediately chose to escape. In the battle, they seemed frustrated and incompetent. "Do you know why my sea race was defeated?" said the Jade Dragon King. "My sea race is full of cowards who are afraid of death." Long Yuji said angrily, "When a tiger hunts a rabbit, for the tiger, a failed hunt means just starvation, but for the rabbit, if it runs slowly, it will be eaten. For the tiger, when hunting prey, facing some large prey that will cause serious injuries to itself, it will choose to give up. Instead, it will mainly hunt some weak animals that consume its strength. Although the tiger is ferocious and can be called the king of beasts, it is not absolutely invincible. Once it is seriously injured when hunting, it will be besieged by powerful enemies and eventually die." Jade Dragon King said, "I thought about this battle for a long time and gradually got the answer. In this battle, no matter the number of nascent souls or the number of god transformation, my Sea clan had the upper hand. But why did my Sea clan lose? Because we lacked the determination to fight to the death. Once the loss is huge, we will be afraid and evacuate. But the human race is different. The Chu state was first attacked by the demons and lost half of its territory. Then it was besieged by our Sea tribe. It was already in a desperate situation and had no way out. The bloody battle was extremely desperate. One fought for the land, and the other fought for survival. Naturally, they were very different. All immortal cultivators are afraid of death. Cultivating immortals is essentially for immortality, and for a longer life. If you are not afraid of death, why cultivate immortals? On the road of cultivating immortals, the stronger you are, the more afraid you are of death. Foundation building cultivators are more afraid of death than key refining cultivators. Jinden cultivators are more afraid of death than commander cultivators. And Shenhua cultivators are more afraid of death than Yuanying cultivators. This is also the law of the world. The poor are poor and have nothing but their lives. Naturally, they are not afraid of death. They often chop people with kitchen knives for a dispute of will, for a few words of quarrel, or for a few dozen dollars. But those top dignitaries enjoy delicious food and beautiful women, hold power, and dominate the world. Naturally, they are afraid of death and are reluctant to die. If you die, how can you enjoy beauty, power, and a good life? In the world of immortal cultivation, those Jinden monks and Yuanying monks have a lifespan of thousands of years, standing above billions of living beings, holding great power and a higher status than the emperors of the previous life. Naturally, they are cautious in doing things, think twice before acting, and take the lead in running away and evacuating when they encounter danger. It is unrealistic and impossible to expect Yuanying monks and Jinden monks to be like gangsters, not cherishing their lives, and all of them are desperate, chopping people with kitchen knives at any time, seeing death as home, and throwing their lives on the ground like a rag. Yu Longwang analyzed the battle situation with cold words. Long Yuj was silent for a moment, and said, "Father, what should we do?" Not long ago, a team of sea tribes attacked parts of Xuanji and successfully landed and occupied some of the territory. Since the situation there has been opened up, we will go to Wu and other countries to capture the territory there. The Jade Dragon King said, "As for Chu, let's give up." "Father, I'm unwilling." Long Yuj gritted his teeth and said, "What if I'm unwilling? We must pay attention to costs and interests." The Jade Dragon King said, "When a tiger hunts two prey, one will cause serious injuries to itself, or even kill it. The other can be easily hunted and easily filled. You should understand when choosing which prey. As a king, you should fight with wisdom and courage, but never fight with anger." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.